ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Harwich Mariners Baseball presented on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. As tonight, Mariners take on the YD Red Sox for the fifth time this season. The team's split season series so far 2-2, and it's a rematch between Antonio Menendez and Eric Tolman, the two that pitched exactly 1 week ago here at White House Field. The Mariners took down the YD Red Sox in that game by a final score of 9-4. YD looking to get some revenge and retake this season series lead in 2019. Hi again, everybody. Colin Casey alongside my broadcast partner Tyler Henry. And Tyler, this has been a really big rivalry between two teams that are right next to each other geographically, and it seems like every game they've played in this year, it's been really close, at least for most of the games.
Well, and it's been two teams, that have been just polar opposites this year. You have a Harwich team that relies primarily on pitching that has picked up the offense lately, and on the other side, you have a YD team that really hit the ball well early in the season, but kind of struggled with the pitching. That has since picked up. So these two teams are both kind of figuring it out at the right time, and that's a part of the reason why, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only team in the East that Harwich is currently 2-2 with. I believe all the other matchups, Harwich either trails or is ahead by at least a game. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens here in yet another installment. And these games have gotten progressively closer and closer as time has gone on. So a pitching rematch for both of the guys that are out there on the bump today, and we'll see how that affects these teams as they'll be seeing the same pitchers they saw the last time these two met.
So Antonio Menendez getting the start for Harwich. Last time out he went 4 2/3, got the no decision against the Red Sox, and this is the lineup he will be facing for the YD Red Sox. Leading things off at shortstop is Wyatt Young. Brad Beasley will bat second and play center. Austin Wells, the powerful catcher with 2 home runs already on the year against Harwich, will bat third out of Arizona. Jack Thomas Waldo had that go-ahead pinch hit 3-run home run just over a week ago against the Harwich Mariners, will bat fourth and play first. Tate Samuelson in left batting fifth. Riley King, the third baseman, will bat sixth. Jake Palmer, the right fielder, will bat seventh. Carson Taylor, the DH, batting eighth. And Sam Hall, the second baseman out of Clemson, will round things out and bat ninth. So in steps Wyatt Young, the shortstop out of Pepperdine, who has had quite the season for the YD Red Sox. Just 5'7", but he's hitting .351 on the year. And the first pitch of the ball game from Antonio Menendez misses low and outside for ball one.
Yeah, and Wyatt Young's biggest thing this year has just been finding different ways to get on base. He's got an on-base percentage of .438. That's one of the most staggering stats in the league.
There's a strike called to make it 1-1, and Young even finding a little bit of power to go along with 6 doubles and 2 triples. He does have a home run, so able to get some pop behind that bat as he's ahead in the count now, 2-1.
Well, I'll tell you what, you want to talk about high honors. The guy that led off the All-Star game for the Eastern Division, and while it wasn't the best day for him, still, just to be put in that spot is huge.
2-2 the count now. Menendez started the year as a reliever, the right-hander out of Wake Forest with multiple arm angles. Has really found a role, though, in this rotation for the Mariners as the 2-2 is hit on the ground towards short, fielded cleanly by Hal Hughes. The throw on Nico Cavadas is in time for out number 1.
Yep, more solid defense backing up the pitching, and that's going to have to continue to be a thing for the Mariners as, again, their bullpen or their rotation getting shorter and shorter as time goes on. Menendez is going to have another good start here and kind of lead the bullpen out there, not wanting to get them involved too early in this game.
So here's Brad Beasley, the center fielder, who's had a decent amount of success against Harwich in the 4 meetings so far this year. He takes first pitch ball. Beasley 4 of 13 with a home run, as well as a double against Harwich. And he swings at the 1-0 and hits a slow roller up the third base line, but Riley Tirado will field it foul against his former teammate.
Yep, and again, Tirado will find his way into the starting lineup for just the second time this year, I believe. The first time came the last time YD met Harwich, so getting some action here, a potential revenge game for Riley Tirado.
Menendez's 1-1 will miss up and in. Tirado playing well behind the bag, respecting the power of Beasley, who takes a big swing and fouls one straight back.
Well, I'll tell you what, Menendez is going to have to be awfully careful. There are a lot of lefties in this lineup here for YD. One of them is not Brad Beasley, but he's going to have a tall task this year or today looking against this lineup for YD that's been so good this season. So we'll see whether or not he can straighten up and get the right-hander out here.
There's a high fly ball into shallow center, and Hal Hughes will camp under it and make the catch So it's 2 up, 2 down for Menendez against the YD Red Sox start the ball game.
Yeah, it's got to be comfortable for Hal Hughes getting back to his typical position. He'll be out there at shortstop after taking a day off yesterday in a big-time win over the Kitsui Cavaliers, and a really big win here as Austin Wells steps to the plate as Harwich, I mean, you get the feeling if they came back and lost that game after putting up a 12 spot in the first meeting between those two and then having it washed away, that would have just been a disaster for Harwich.
First pitch swinging is Austin Wells, and he comes up way behind it to fall behind 0-1 in the last meeting between these two teams. Wells took Menendez over the fence at White House Field a week ago. One of the 2 home runs hit this season by Wells against Harwich. The 0-1 is hit pretty well down the left field line, but foul as Wells comes in hitting 7 of 18 on the season with the 2 home runs and 3 RBIs, and he has just seen the ball really well against the Mariners and frankly against everybody all season long. The 0-2 misses high.
Yeah, not a bad pitch there by Menendez, just trying to keep things high and away, and he doesn't have to go right at him here. Austin Wells a very dangerous hitter. You don't want to give him anything too simple, and with a 1-2 count, we'll see if he goes with another waste pitch.
He does, as he leaves a fastball low and outside for a ball. Wells overall this season hitting .316, 7 homers, 24 RBIs.
Another guy who was on the All-Star team and did his fair share of work there.
There's a line drive hit out towards fairly deep left center field, but running over to make the catch is Dylan Noisy, and that will retire the side. It's a 1-2-3 top of the first for Antonio Menendez. We're through half an inning. Scoreless from White House Field. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on Mariners YouTube Network. Harwich Mariners will get their first opportunity at the plate as let's take a look at their lineup against the YD Red Sox. Leading things off will be Daniel Cabrera, the right fielder out of LSU. His teammate at LSU, Hal Hughes, will bat second and play short. Joey Weimer out of the University of Cincinnati will bat third and play left. Christian Fedko out of UConn batting cleanup and playing second. Nico Cavadas, first baseman out of Notre Dame, will bat fifth. Dylan Noisy, the TTU center fielder, will bat sixth. Wake Forest Chris Lanzilli will DH and bat seventh. Mike Rothenberg out of Duke University will bat eighth and catch. And Riley Terada, the Dayton Flyer, will round things up and play third base. So in steps Daniel Cabrera, who, even though he's a lefty, has seen the ball better in terms of batting average against left-handed pitching this year, as he's hitting .300, and he will be the first to greet Eric Tolman, the Arizona State Sun Devil. The southpaw will pitch for the second time this season against Harwich. Tolman, the Lake Forest, California native, his first pitch is hit out towards right field, and that's going to fall in for a base hit. It's actually going to be all the way to the wall, as Palmer had trouble fielding it. And going into second standing is Daniel Cabrera. That's going to be a double for him. And as far as Palmer goes, he took a really poor route to that ball, as it ended up going all the way to the warning track.
Yeah, not really sure what Palmer was doing out there. As again, you mentioned just a poor route, and that allowed the ball to kind of fall into the gap. So it's going to be a double to lead things off here for a Harwich team that has done a really good job of striking first in games. And well, with Hal Hughes coming up, and an interesting spot for Hal Hughes, it'll be a chance for Harwich to maybe get a chance to at least move the runner over to third with one away.
Tolman on the season, 1-1 with a 4.09 ERA. He's in his 5th start, has appeared in 7 total games now. And Hughes gets a piece of the first pitch. He sees a breaking ball from Tolman and fouls it straight back.
Eric Tolman actually almost found his way into the lineup today, as they were kind of toying with the idea of maybe not going with the DH, which would have been the first time we had seen that all season, but they do elect to go with the DH. It'll be Carson Taylor hitting in place of Tolman, and he will be left to focus on his pitching.
The 0-1 from Tolman, another breaking ball. This one misses down and in.
And with Tolman on the bump, let's set the rest of the defense as Austin Wells will get the start behind the home plate. Jack Thomas Wald at first, Hall at second. It'll be Young at short, Riley King at third, Tate Samuelson in left, Brad Beasley in center, and Palmer gets the start in right.
Ground ball to the left side, fielded cleanly by Young, and he makes the throw across the diamond in time for out number 1. Cabrera forced to stay at second. Good defense by the left side of the infield of YD for out number 1.
So that'll bring up Joey Weimer, and again, really an interesting lineup today for Harwich, as Weimer will hit in the 3-hole, and then Nico Cavada sitting down there in the 5. So we'll see how it works out for Harwich, but I really do like the look they're going with today, as pretty much everybody in the lineup today has found their way on base as of late. It seems like everybody's been doing better and better, but a couple of the slower bats not even in the lineup today.
And generally speaking, this is a lineup that has seen the ball really well against Red Sox pitching this season. Weimer being one of them, 4 for 11 with 5 RBIs as he takes a first pitch strike on the outside corner.
Yeah, these are two teams that have seen each other exceptionally well, and it's made for some really fun baseball this season, as some of the better games that I think we've seen, for better for worse for Harwich, have come when they've played against the YD Red Sox.
And if YD ends up being that 2 seed in the playoffs, Harwich manages to overtake the Orleans Firebirds for the 3rd spot. We could see this as a potential first-round matchup as Tolman spikes a curveball, but a good stop by Wells keeps Cabrera over at second.
And speaking of playoffs, a quick update over there in the West, or the Double A of the Cape Cod Baseball League, at least in terms of the bottom parts. The Bourne Braves can actually secure a playoff spot today if Brewster beats Hyannis, or if Bourne finds a way to get a win in their game against Chatham.
That'll miss low, and that just tells the whole story about the disparity in the West. I mean, there are some good teams in the West. You look at the Falmouth Commodores, they've been the hottest team in the entire Cape League. Wareham, is always a tough team to play against, unless, of course, you're Harwich, but for pretty much everyone else, then after that, it kind of tails off a little bit. Cotuit's a kind of a here and there team, but Bourne and Hyannis, just 2 teams that have really struggled this season. Luckily for Bourne, Hyannis has struggled more, and Joey Weimer fouls a pitch off his foot, and he is slow to get up.
Yeah, a little shaken up by that, as, boy, that thing bounced so hard off his foot it rolled all the way back to the pitcher, so they'll give him some time to kind of walk that off. He hasn't even taking the bat back into his hands. And really quickly, going back to the point of just the Western Division, yeah, there's a Bourne team that could secure the last playoff spot in the West before anybody secures a playoff spot in the East. And keep in mind, they would do it with a record of 15-20-1, which would have them in last place in the East right now, behind the Brewster Whitecaps. So just kind of a completely different situation, and it's all because of the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, who are currently 7-28-1 and on pace for one of the 10 worst Cape Cod Baseball League seasons of all time.
Just one of those years for Hyannis, who's actually been doing a good job of drawing attendance numbers. I think they were still in the top 3 as of a week ago, as 2-2 is swung on and missed by Weimer and making the tag as well. So a couple of big outs for Tolman. Now Cabrera standing on second with 2 away in the inning.
I'll tell you one thing, Joey Weimer did not look very comfortable taking that last swing. He's probably going to need a couple of, and maybe an inning out there in the field to kind of shake that off. But here comes Christian Fetko, and Colin, we actually got a chance to talk to John Fetko again today. It seems like Christian's found himself a new bat, hasn't he?
Yeah, he certainly has, and he was using it in batting practice, and John Fetko, of course, telling him that it was the same one that Bryce Harper had used in the home run derby a couple of years ago when he won it in front of his hometown, or his home crowd of Nationals Park, as first pitch to Fedko's on the outside corner. But definitely something interesting, and this is a perfect time to try it. I mean, Fedko has been phenomenal against left-handed pitching and YD this year, hitting .355 against lefties, and his only home run coming against the YD Red Sox this season in this ballpark. So he'll get a chance with Daniel Cabrera standing on second after the leadoff double. 2 away. The 0-1 from Tolman is hit out towards center field, but that will hang up long enough for Brad Beasley to run it down. He'll make the catch, and the side is retired. So despite the leadoff double from Cabrera, we are scoreless from White House Field after 1. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. top of the second from White House Field, still scoreless as the Mariners and Red Sox face off for the 5th time this season. This will be the last game between these two before the playoffs at White House Field. And for the Mariners, or for both these teams, actually a rubber match, and it's going to be the same thing tomorrow, as not only have they split the series 2-2, but 2-2 as well in terms of the home team and the away team splitting both of those games. So it's been really even all across the board as Jack Thomas Wald swings and misses the first pitch he sees for strike one.
So what you're telling me is we're on pace for a couple of tie ball games here over the next few days.
Exactly.
Which, really quickly, Harwich is still the only team in the league to not have a tie this season. The Bourne Braves tied with the Katuitt Cavaliers a while ago as this misses high and away. For Katuitt, it was their 4th tie of the season, and that's why despite having the same number of wins as Harwich going into yesterday's game, they had a much better overall record. The Bourne Braves, of course, picking up their first. They're now 15-20-1, and Harwich still the only team without a draw.
Wald falls behind 1-2, and they were really close to it, though, in that game against Falmouth, where after 9.5 innings, it was deadlocked, but of course the walk-off home run by Taylor Smith changed that, as it's a 2-hopper over to first. Cavadas makes the play, and a simple flip onto Menendez records out number 1.
Once again, Cavadas moving over from third base to first base. He was at third yesterday. He stays at first today, and between those two spots and also the potential of him DHing, you really wonder whether or not he's going to be in the lineup every single day for the rest of the year. The experimentation phase is kind of over. I get the feeling there are probably 5 or 6 guys that are going to stay in the lineup from here until the end of the year.
Cavadas, of course, leading the team in home runs and RBI, so it's no surprise to see him be an everyday guy for the Mariners this season, as Tate Samuelson takes a first pitch strike from Menendez.
Of course, one of the guys getting a rare rest today is Chris Gallant, who will not find himself in the lineup.
Another guy taking a rest for YD is Noah Campbell, second baseman. We've seen a lot of him so far this season, but instead it'll be Sam Hall replacing him, the Clemson second baseman, batting 9th. For Tate Samuelson, he actually played first earlier in the year against the Harwich Mariners, as he takes a pitch to make it 1-2. So he's been a guy that has played not only the corner outfield spot, but also first base.
Seems like we've seen a lot of different lineups be used against Harwich by YD this season.
1-2 misses just below the knees, and that's kind of how it's been with Scott Pickler. Not only has he used a bunch of different lineups, a lot of pinch hitters as well, as he's got a unique strategy, but something that has certainly turned into success over the years with YD is there's a high fly ball out towards left field and deep, sending Weimer all the way back to the warning track, and he will make the catch for Samuelson, just missing what would have been his second home run of the season, but instead it's a loud out number 2.
And as Riley King comes to the plate, can we talk about Scott Pickler for just a minute? Because this is one of the strangest managing situations in the entire league. Scott Pickler is a guy that will show up to the ballpark every day with somewhere between 2 to 4 lineups in his hand, and he'll go out and watch BP and decide based on that who he wants to start. In addition to that, you mentioned some of the replacements that he's used as Menendez's first pitch is hit.
And what a diving stop over at third. The long throw by Terada is in time. What a play by Riley Terada, knocking down a hard-hit ball and robbing his former teammate Riley King, his third base counterpart, to end the inning. We're through 1.5. Scoreless from White House Field. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Bottom of the second from White House Field, Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry bring you another edition Harwich Mariners baseball. And Tyler, what a play by Riley Tirada to end last inning, robbing Riley King of what certainly looked like a base hit.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it would have been impressive enough that he just knocked the ball down with his glove, but then to pick it up and find a way to throw to first base just in time to nab him. I mean, that was an excellent play all around. So a Gold Glove caliber play from a Gold Glove caliber player, and that's kind of the scouting report that we got on Riley Tirada coming in. His glove was going to be excellent, and his hitting would come along eventually.
First pitch to Nico Cavadas, misses low and outside for a ball. Cavadas with 9 home runs on the season, all of them coming against right-handed pitching, so looking to pick up his first against the southpaw, and he's ahead in the count now 2-0.
And that may be the only split where he doesn't have a home run. He's had one at home, on the road. He's had him to left field, straightaway center, right field. This one's fouled away. He's hit him off of off-speed pitches. We've seen a changeup, a curveball, a fastball, a slider. I mean, it seems like it doesn't matter how you put the pitch in the box. He's going to find a way to take one over the fence sooner or later.
It's been a slight drop-off in production against southpaws as he's hitting 244 compared to 280 with plenty more RBIs against righties, 24 compared to just 4 against lefties. So it's going to be a 2-2 count as Tolman looking to continue his streak after retiring the last 3 batters in the first inning, as there's a check swing and a late called strike 3. So Cavadas does in fact go around, and he is retired for out number 1 to begin the home half of the second.
Yeah, very late call there, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't appeal down to the first base umpire, but one way or another, it'll be an out here on Nico Cavadas, and Dylan Noisy will come to the plate. Big time opportunity for a guy who went yard twice the last time these teams met here at White House Field.
And Noisy now 3 of 9 on the season against YD as he swings the first pitch and fouls it off to the right.
He's certainly done some of his best work against YD, but certainly the more important thing is he's done some of his best work again or in recent games. I mean, he has really come alive over the course of the last 5 or 6 matchups, so we'll see whether or not he can continue to stay hot and maybe find his way on base and start the M's off with something here.
Another foul ball off to the right to make it 0-2, and it was his 2-run home run in the 4th inning that was really the first hard-hit ball off of Eric Tolman all game, and it would kind of put a crack in him and it gave the Harwich Mariners the lead at the time, and they would eventually go on to win the game 9-4 as 3rd straight foul ball to the right side from Noisy. Tolman yet again with the 0-2. And a breaking ball is hit out towards left field, falling quickly, but coming in to make the catch is Tate Samuelson for out number 2.
Yeah, pretty traditional play there as Chris Lanzilli will come to the plate. And really quickly, I just wanted to finish something from earlier on Scott Pickler. He is not afraid to just throw guys in there at seemingly random intervals. There have been a couple of times this season where he has used guys as pinch hitters who not only were hitting under 200, but also he would get a less favorable matchup on the mound where if you had a righty throwing, he would bring in a left-handed hitter just to get a fresh face in there. But it's worked so many times this year, and I know of at least 4 different games that Whitey has won because Scott Pickler has just thrown somebody into a random game at the end of it. One of those guys was Eric Tolman, who he put in, and Tolman was able to get an RBI double that ended up giving Whitey a victory over the Chatham A's.
Chris Lanzilli watches a first pitch fastball for a strike, and it's moves like that that have kept him with the YD Red Sox for so many years, and the big reason why he was inducted in the Hall of Fame earlier this summer, the 2019 class, the Cape Cod Baseball Hall of Fame, and he was inducted alongside a couple of major league players, including Kyle Schwarber, who played for the Wareham Gatemen, now member of the Chicago Cubs, a World Series winner back in 2017 or 2016 rather, as Lanzilli takes a curveball in the dirt to make it 2-1.
Yeah, and really not messing around behind home plate right now as Mark Delaney is another kind of relatively close check swing, but again, not even appealing down to the first base umpires. The count goes 2-1 here as it'll be Chris Lanzilli trying to shorten up on the bat and maybe find a way to drop this one somewhere.
And he is laid on another fastball as it is sent foul, and a lot of life on Tolman's fastball so far as previous at-bat Dylan Noisy, he got 3 straight and was laid on all 3 of them.
Yep, and we'll see whether or not that continues to be the good pitch for him, as that's one of the biggest things that he has in his arsenal.
In the windup, the 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Looked like he pulled the string on that one with perhaps a changeup. Catches Lanzilli well out in front of it. And after giving up a leadoff double in the first, it's been 6 up, 6 down for Tolman. We're through 2 from White House Field. Score is 0-0. You're listening and watching Harwich Mariners baseball on Mariners YouTube Network.
Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. A quick scoreboard update for you as there are 3 other games going on right now in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Wareham and Kentuit are doing battle in an all-West game. The Kentuit Kettleers currently getting the best of the Wareham Gatemen, 5-1. The Bourne Braves trail the Chatham Anglers 4-1. Again, Bourne can clinch that last playoff spot in the West with either a win, a tie, or a loss by Hyannis, who are currently down 1-0 to Brewster. And Colin, that's the one you and I and everybody else has their eyes on. The Brewster Whitecaps currently sit in the basement of the East. They are 2.5 games behind the Harwich Mariners, but they will have an opportunity to play Harwich 2 more times before the season ends. So for the M's, it's just going to be about trying to build a lead, and that includes winning games and hoping that hoping that Brewster does their part and loses a few here and there.
And not only does Brewster have 2 more games against the Mariners, they also have 2 more games in general to play compared to Harwich on the schedule, so they got an opportunity to make up some ground in that department. As first pitch to Jake Palmer is hit slowly on the ground to second. Fedco makes a play, and it's 1 pitch, 1 out to begin the 3rd inning for Harwich.
Gotta love the efficiency there. So here comes Carson Taylor, the last-minute sub, who is going to be the DH today, and one of the late additions to the YD Red Sox this year. Not a guy that's been with the team since day one. Taylor so far this year out of Virginia Tech, still looking for his first hit. Now that I've said that, he'll probably get it.
0 for 14 on the season, 0 for 7 against lefties, 0 for 7 against righties, so has equally struggled against both types of pitchers, but he takes first pitch outside for a ball. He has drawn a walk, so he's at least reached base once or twice, and he's ahead in the count now, 2-0.
It was Sam Hall rounding out the lineup. One guy we won't see that we saw last time is Ron Washington. So an interesting move there, and certainly the big reason trying to get as many lefties in the lineup to face Menendez as possible, as Antonio keeping it outside here will make it a 3-0 count.
Yeah, Washington was the left fielder in that game, and no Jack Thomas Wald, as it was Samuelson playing first base. The 3-0 is over for a strike, so Menendez trying to fight back against Carson Taylor with Sam Hall waiting in the on-deck circle. 3-1 from Menendez is on the inside corner this time, so that'll fill the count, 3-2.
Yeah, but of course Jack Thomas Wald, I don't know if we've mentioned it yet or not, the guy who had the decisive home run off of Joe Boyle that gave YD a win in Game 2 of the series, I believe it was.
Payoff pitch is chopped foul as Menendez and Taylor, 2 guys both in the ACC, as is the man on deck, Sam Hall, playing for Clemson. So the ACC well represented in this YD Red Sox lineup, as another payoff pitch is hit down the left field line, as well as just Wake Forest in general well represented for the Mariners this season.
Well, not just for the Mariners, but Wake Forest has 6 different guys, I believe, or maybe it was even 8 across the Cape all the way around. So kind of crazy to see so many different Demon Deacons, one that's no longer with the team, the ex-first baseman Bobby Seymour.
3-2 pitch misses outside for ball 4, so Carson Taylor coaxes a 1-out walk, and that'll bring up the 9-hitter Sam Hall.
Yep, the first base runner of the day for Sam Hall. And tell you what, Colin, it's going to be an uphill battle all day for Antonio Menendez, but he's faced this kind of thing before, as Hall's actually in there. He's going to hit from the right side, or the left side. So It's interesting because when you look at the way Antonio Menendez pitches, from that sidearm angle, the only real off-speed that he has is the slider, and that's going to break away from a right-handed hitter like Sam Hall. But for everybody else, you see him kind of keeping things on the outside part of the plate. He really has to locate the fastball well because the slider is not really that effective of a tool against a lefty.
First pitch to Hall is swung on and missed. He pulled the string on him there. Hall this season, 229 batting average. He's 8 for 35 with a double, 2 runs batted in. So he's been a serviceable guy off the bench, a depth guy for the YD Red Sox.
And that was the slider. You see how effective it is against the righty.
Lead off first from Taylor. The 0-1 is on the inside corner for a strike.
And there's another one. I mean, again, he goes inside out. He starts things on the outside half, and it breaks away. He gets him to chase. Then he brings one inside. Hall thinks it's going to stay there, and it cuts in over the plate. So back-to-back sliders. We'll see whether or not he goes with the fastball. But this is why right-handed guys can be so effective against right-handed hitters, especially sidearmers. As a quick throw over to first to keep Carson Taylor close. But it gets so much more complicated when you go the other way around, and I had a chance to talk with Antonio Menendez about that. He said that it's really been a struggle for him all throughout his career facing off against left-handed hitters, but here in the Cape League, he's found a lot of really good success.
The 0-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3. He goes back to the off-speed, and he retires Sam Hall for out number 2 as the lineup card will flip over, and Menendez will take on a couple of guys he's had success early in this game, as he did retire the first 7 batters of the game before walking Taylor with 1 away in this inning.
Yeah, right now the only guy he's put on base throughout the game is Carson Taylor, who stands on first right now. So Wyatt Young, who grounded out early in the count, will come back up here. And I'll tell you what, Antonio Menendez is also on a bit of a mission to prove to the world and everybody else seemingly that sidearmers aren't just right-on-right specialists. So this is a big thing for him.
And there's a ground ball, an easy play as Kvadas hardly had to move. He just catches it and takes 1 step to the left and tags first to retire the side. So YD Red Sox get their first base runner of the game, but their first hit will have to wait a little bit longer. We're through 2.5. No score from White House Field. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Bottom of the 3rd inning from White House Field, what's been a very quickly moving game so far. Not a lot of offense, just the 1 double from Daniel Cabrera. The lone hit in this game from either team, and he is due up 3rd this inning. But for now, Mike Rothenberg, catcher out of Duke, will lead things off for Harwich.
Yep, Rothenberg seemed like he was finding his stride there for a little bit, and then he's just kind of dropped off the face of the earth a bit over the course of his last. Actually, not doing as bad as I thought. As I look now, over the last 5 games, he's hitting 286, but still a pretty low average for him on the year as he fouls this one away.
Bit of a shift from YD on Rothenberg. Wyatt Young playing very close to the 3rd base bag for a shortstop, and over at 3rd, Riley King playing well behind 3rd and very close to the line. The 0-1 from Eric Tolman misses low and inside.
And Harwich getting a lot of really good production out of the bottom of their lineup just a day ago, as Chris Lanzilli, Pat Winkle, and Corey Acton, who hit 7, 8, 9, were able to score 5 of their 9 runs.
Pitch misses low.
So we'll see whether or not they can get similar production today, as the bottom 3 will be Chris Lanzilli, Mike Rothenberg, and Riley Tirada.
There's a high pop-up on the right side of the infield, crossing into foul territory is Jack Thomas Wall, but instead Tolman will come over and make the catch himself. So After a bit of a miscommunication, Tolman decides I'll do it myself, and he makes the catch to retire Rothenberg for out number 1.
And that's a really weird play because typically that's always going to be the infielder's ball. It's strange to see a guy like Eric Tolman call Jack Thomas Wald off, and there was nearly a collision there as Wald, I think, didn't get the memo until it was almost too late, but they're able to corral it, and that'll be the first out. So here comes Riley Terrata getting his second start of the year for the Harwich Mariners. He's played in multiple other games, but in terms of starts, I believe this is just number 2 for Riley.
First pitch he sees misses high for a ball. He's 1 for 6 so far with the Mariners with the 1 RBI. And that 1 hit, of course, being a double against the YD Red Sox. And that pitch will just miss.
He got that in his first game as a Harwich Mariner, and part of the reason may have been because we didn't interview him. The interview curse has officially been called off this season. His pregame content's been canceled for the rest of the year.
The 2-0 is on the inside corner for a strike as Coach Englert, a firm believer in superstitions.
Oh, and baseball players too. I mean, everybody else was kind of in the same boat. We were kind of in the same boat too. We were sitting there going, man, like, how much longer is this going to go on? And when Cavadas broke his 11-game hitting streak, we figured, yeah, you know what, we should probably stop now.
Pitch misses once more, so Terrata with a hitter's count. As his lone hit of the season came against YD, the former teammate of his, John Beller, surrendering that hit back on July 15th. I believe Terrata started all 3 games against YD in terms of the games he's played, and the 3-1 is going to miss just inside, so Tolman surrenders his first walk of the ball game to his former teammate. It's a 1-out base runner for Harwich here in the 3rd.
And Terrata's got some speed to him as well. Don't be fooled by his tall frame. He's pretty quick, so an opportunity here for Daniel Cabrera, who so far for the Mariners has the lone hit of the day. It was a double to lead things off back in the first inning. Will come up with a runner on and 1 away.
Cabrera first pitch swinging. He made some solid contact out towards right center field. Picked up his 4th double of the season. First pitch to the LSU Tigers, breaking ball in there for a strike.
And these are kind of the semantics you think about as a pitcher. Is you put a ball there in the strike zone and he jumped at it the first time that you saw him, and now do you put something in the strike zone again? You do. You think maybe he'll lay off of it, and that's exactly what Cabrera did.
Runner going, and there's a chopper towards the left side, through for a base hit. Terrata will make his way to 3rd. He will hold up there, and that is just excellent situational hitting from Daniel Cabrera as he reaches base for the 2nd time. He's now 2 for 2.
Gotta love the effectiveness, and Terrata taking off allows him to move up to 3rd. So now Harwich has a runner just 90 feet away with 1 out, and arguably the best part of the order coming up is Hal Hughes will stand in here. Again, a really interesting move to put Hal Hughes in the 2-hole here. He's been swinging a good bat lately, but you look at the guys surrounding him here with Joey Weimer, Christian Fetko, Nico Cavadas, and even Dylan Noisy. Kind of an interesting move, although I do like having that much speed up there at the top of the order.
Hughes this season hitting 162 with 11 hits total and 68 at-bats. He's driven in 2 runs, but none against left-handed pitching this year. And the first pitch from the lefty Tolman misses outside. Hughes with similar splits, though, in terms of average. 150 against lefties, 167 against right-handed pitching. So hasn't really mattered too much of which type he faces. He will square, bunt, and pop it up foul to the right side, and that'll even the count 1-1.
Kind of a bold move there, squaring around to lay the bunt, as Terrata wasn't taking off from 3rd base. He got a pretty good lead down the line, but I don't know if Hughes could get one down. It's certainly not out of the question that they could bunt the run home, although the infield's going to be keen to it, as now the corners will come in.
Middle infielders still at double play depth, looking to turn 2 and get out of the inning with no runs allowed. Terrata at 3rd, Cabrera at 1st. The 1-1 is a blooper into shallow left. Wyatt Young backpedaling, and he makes the catch for out number 2. Boy, it seemed like he was going to stumble over to that lip going onto the outfield grass, but he's able to keep his balance and make the catch for a huge out number 2.
And he almost did. Just fortunate for him. The pure luck there. His step back happened to take him over the lip instead of right into it. So 2 away for Joey Weimer, who was driving in runs like it was going out of style a couple of weeks ago, but he's kind of calmed down a little bit here. Get the feeling he'll find a way to get something productive done here with 2 outs, though. Still one of the top hitters on this Harwich squad. Has been Mr. Reliable all season long, and now he'll be tasked with trying to drive in the first run of yet another Harwich game.
He's got 5 RBIs in the last 2 games, and there's a Pick-off throw to first. The throw hits the runner, and coming in to score is Tirada. Daniel Cabrera took off on the pick-off move, and he slides. The throw coming from Jack Thomas Wald actually hits Cabrera in the back, and that gives Tirada an opportunity to score, and Cabrera's safe at second. So a weird play, but Harwich takes a 1-0 lead.
You know, back in the 1920s, that's an out, but here in 2019, Cabrera is just going to have a back bruise, and that's going to put the first run of the game across here for the Harwich Mariners. A really weird sequence of events, and Colin, while that does score a run, it's still concerning that this continues to be a thing for Harwich. They've had so many guys get caught leaning off the bag in recent games, and they have it happen again here. It does work to their advantage. Now they're going to have a runner in scoring position here for Joey Weimer and a 1-0 lead.
And we got a timeout here as someone is looking at their glove. I believe it's the second baseman, Hall. And he's going to be actually putting some eye drops in. I think maybe when Cabrera slid into second, some dirt came up and got into his eyes, so that's what the delay is here.
Sight is kind of important when you're trying to play the infield, and especially against competition this good. So a big-time spot coming up here for Joey Weimer, and what another, just these are the runs Harwich was giving up in the first half of the season. It was the weird, wacky plays like this, and these things always kind of find a way to balance themselves out. Here in the second half of the season, Harwich has been the beneficiary of a number of these, and it works to their favor here as they'll strike first and take yet another early lead as everybody continues to pause here. Whatever got into the eye of the shortstop, the shortstop Wyatt Young must be really deep in there because he's still over there getting some attention.
So Tolman will get some time off rather, and I wonder if he's going to end up throwing a couple of warm-ups, as it has been taking a while. At the moment, he was just on the mound tossing around the rosin bag.
Yeah, you see Tolman out there just kind of trying to stay loose, but there's only so much you can do. This is basically an extended inning break as Wyatt Young, the all-star, still getting some more attention over there. Scott Pickler helping his guy out, and just a weird play all around. And maybe more importantly, it was kind of a late slide there for Daniel Cabrera, who I don't know if he thought he was going to have a shot at sliding into the bag, and that's why he went so late. But one way or another, he stays up vertically enough that that throw comes in and catches him square in the back and heads up base running by Riley Tirada, knowing the situation and taking off. As now we will see some warm-up pitches taken here by Eric Tolman.
Not even really pitches. He's just kind of tossing the ball around with Austin Wells, and still waiting for Sam Hall to get back out on the field as just to reset the inning. Led things off with a pop-up from Mike Rothenberg, then Tirado drew a one-out walk. He moved up onto third after running with a pitch when Daniel Cabrera found a hole on the left side of the infield. That put runners at the corners in just a few moments ago. There was a Hal Hughes pop-up, and then with Joey Weimer at the plate, it was a pickoff move from Tolman to first. Then the return throw from Wald hit Cabrera in the back, and Tirada took off immediately after the pickoff move, and he ended up scoring, and that is where we stand 1-0 in the bottom of the third.
And in the meantime, we can give you a quick update on the league scoreboard. Through 4 innings, the Bourne Braves are currently trailing the Chatham A's by a score of 5-1. We got a game on and just started here in a bit. Sorry, a game that just started a bit ago between the Falmouth Commodores and the Orleans Firebirds. That one tied up 0-0 as they go into the bottom of the first. And then, of course, a game with Brewster Whitecaps taking on the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, and courtesy of a Gage Workman 3-run bomb, it's going to be a 4-0 game here for the Whitecaps. So a big opportunity for them to potentially pick some ground up if YD can find a way to crawl back in this one. Your other game of the day going on is between Katuitt and Wareham, and at last check, it's still 5-1 Katuitt out in Katuitt.
So we're still delayed here, and I wonder if they're going to have to make a substitution here if it's something that's really bothering Hall.
I mean, at this point, you would think that they've got to, I mean, I don't think there's an actual time limit necessarily, but at some point, you're not going to be able to fix this in a timely manner, and just for the sake of getting the ball game done with, you got to maybe put somebody else out there. But for the time being, the other thing, Colin, is Sam Hall is a righty. So in terms of facing Antonio Menendez, this isn't the end of the world that they do have to make a substitution. They've got plenty of capable left-handed hitters who can play the infield. It's just going to be a question of whether or not they want to put him in here, or whether they want to keep trying and trying to get Sam Hall ready to go.
Of course, you got Noah Campbell, the slugger at second base. It's a very viable option for the YD Red Sox. Looking at what Campbell's done this season, he's hitting .302. And heading back out there is Sam Hall. So it seems like whatever was in his eye, training staff was able to get it out, and we can finally resume baseball with no count to Joey Weimer and Daniel Cabrera standing at second with 2 away.
Yep, a bizarre set of circumstances, but Weimer will now come to the plate. Tolman did get a couple of warm-up pitches in there, as you saw, so he should be fresh and ready to go. And again, with 2 outs, a runner in scoring position here. Harwich with a big-time opportunity to try to pad onto this lead.
Tolman comes set, and his first pitch is in the dirt for a ball. Wells able to keep it in front of him.
And you got to think if you're Harwich, too. I mean, no lead's going to feel safe against YD after they came back and won a game where they trailed by 5. So definitely want to pad a few more runs on here if you can.
Decent lead off second from Cabrera. Tolman comes home, and there's a pop-up to the right side, backing out of play.
And it's still very early. The shadows starting to play out as the only parts of the field that are bathed in sunlight are right in center field. But the lights are on here at White House Field, so darkness will be on its way soon. But fortunately, due to the miracle technology that not everybody has caught up to of having lights at your ballpark, we can continue this one until it is done.
1-1 misses outside to Weimer. Struck out swinging in his first at-bat against Tolman. Of course, Weimer with all 5 of his RBIs against YD coming in the last 2 meetings between these 2 teams, and he'll take a pitch on the inside corner for a strike. Mark Delaney really giving pitchers that inside strike early, and Tolman looking to exploit it here. He's 1 pitch away from get out of the inning with limited damage done. 2-2 offering. Breaking ball swung on and missed for strike 3, so Tolman gets himself out of the inning, but not before Riley Terrata comes across the score on a botched pickoff move. We're through 3 innings from White House Field. Harwich leads 1-0. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey bringing you coverage here as the YD Red Sox are here visiting the Harwich Mariners. And as we go to the 4th inning, a really quick update on the scorebook. Riley Terrata has been credited on that play where he came across the score with a stolen base. So technically, Riley Terrata has stolen home, although it may not be in the coolest fashion as he could have. That is the first time we've seen that this season, and you can check that off your baseball bingo list. So Brad Beasley will lead things off here in the 4th inning, and he will be followed up by Austin Wells and then Jack Thomas Wald as Antonio Menendez comes out for another inning of work. First pitch, squaring to bunt, laying it down, and sending that one back to the Harwich dugout is Brad Beasley, and he'll fall behind here 0-1.
Beasley popped out in his first at-bat. Menendez did a really good job through the first time through the order, just 1 walk surrendered, nobody reaching base via hit.
The 0-1 pitch will miss low, so it'll be a 1-1 count here as Brad Beasley, who's had pretty good success like most of the rest of the lineup here against Harwich, digs in the 1-1. Swing and a miss at a high fastball, and Menendez has really been cooking here. He's allowed just 1 runner on base, and he put that man there himself. It was Carson Taylor back in the 3rd inning. So looking to get through yet another clean frame here. The 1-2 pitch. Check swing offered, but nothing doing there as that pitch was off the plate on the outside part. And the count evens up here at 2-2.
Menendez with 2 starts going 6 or more innings on July 4th and 11th.
2-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. Brad Beasley is down on strikes, and that'll be the second strikeout of the day here for Antonio Menendez, and it will bring up Austin Wells, who is one of maybe 5 different guys in this lineup with the power to change the entire narrative of this game with just one swing of the bat.
And he's done it once this season against Antonio Menendez. But for Menendez, he's looking for another one of those deep starts, one against Brewster, the other coming against Katuitt. Didn't get the win in either of those games, though.
Yeah, hasn't gotten a ton of run support this year. It seems like when he's gone out there, he's been pitching either from behind or with a 0-0 game more often than not. But here he's got a 1-run lead to protect, and here comes his first pitch to Wells, who smokes one, but right at Christian Fedko, who will put it away for out number 2.
That ball hit right on the screws at Fedko, but Menendez, including his longest start against Katuitt on July 11th, he went 6 1/3 innings, giving up just the 1 run on 5 hits. He ended up getting the loss in that game, a 2-0 loss, so just brutal luck for him in terms of how the decisions have fallen. But right now he's got himself in a position where he can maybe pick up his first victory of the season if he continues to have some success against this YD lineup.
Including Jack Thomaswold, who pops this one high in the air. Riley Tirada will settle under it near the line, and he will make the catch for out number 3. So a quick 1-2-3 inning for Antonio Menendez. We go to the bottom half of the 4th, a 1-0 lead for Harwich when we come back here on the Mariners YouTube Network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go here to the home half of the 4th. And Colin, this is without a doubt the toughest stretch of the Harwich schedule, as they will play 4 consecutive games here, 2 against YD and 2 against Chatham. But they're not the only ones in that boat, and they might be one of the most fortunate teams when you look at how many games they have left to play, as teams like Falmouth and Orleans, who play each other today, still have a lot of work to make up.
Yeah, in fact, Orleans actually has 2 doubleheaders scheduled and an August 1st game still left to go. So a lot of baseball left to be played for the Firebirds, at least for Harwich. Sure, they may not have any off days, but only the 1 doubleheader the rest of the way, and they're not playing on August 1st. So I'd be fortunate if I was Coach Steve Englert's bunch that they aren't getting pushed with a bunch of games to end the season.
Fedko will foul the first pitch. He sees off his foot, and really quickly on the same note, the league has made a decision, the official Cape Cod Baseball League, and they've come out and said, no more extra innings from here on in. We got to get these games in. We got to get them in quick, and we're not trying to torch these guys' arms. So the 9-inning games will not go any more than 9 innings, and doubleheader games will not go any more than 7. And it's interesting, Colin, because I didn't realize the rule of only having 1 extra inning is actually a more recent development in the CCBL, as the 0-1 pitch to Fedko is going to be lined down the left side, but it's going to be caught by Young out there at short. They were playing the shift perfectly, and Fedko is retired for out number 1. So as Nico Cavadas comes up, back to the point, there was a game during the championship year in 2011. I was actually talking today with one of the Harwich team doctors, Dr. Wright, who doubles as my chiropractor here during the summer, and he said he watched a game during the 2011 championship season that went 18 innings. And I can't even imagine, as the first pitch misses high here, a game going that long. So a good thing here that they kind of shortened the season, but especially here in like the home stretch. I mean, can you imagine using that many pitchers?
Yeah, it's completely crazy, but there ain't going to be any ties in the playoffs, I'll tell you that much.
No, there will not. This one will be in there for a strike to Cavadas. Regular season winding down here. We've got just 6 more days left. Harwich will play 7 games in that stretch, counting today. As Cavadas fouls this one away, the count will go 1-2. And the other thing is, I mean, you got to think, for these guys, they have to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning playing that. Or I think it was like 2:30, but still, you stay up until 2:30 playing that game, and then you wake up and you play a doubleheader the next day. I mean, that's absolutely wild.
Right.
Here comes Tolman's 1-2 pitch, and that'll be fouled off as Cavadas just barely hanging in there and staying alive to fight another pitch.
But yeah, looking at the Mariners' schedule, I mean, it can't get much better than that in terms of the amount of games they're playing, how it's kind of scheduled, but also where they're taking place. No more West games, so everything else is relatively close.
Cavadas will take a pitch down. Yeah, they have the advantage also in that split doubleheaders. They will host the Orleans Firebirds in the afternoon, and then there will be a big break. Then they'll host the Brewster Whitecaps at night. But Brewster is going to be playing a split doubleheader as well, both of them on the road, and then the Firebirds will be playing one of each at home and on the road here as Cavadas tips that back into the glove of Austin Wells and strikes out for out number 2.
Yeah, Eric Tolman's quietly had that strikeout pitch working pretty well so far. He's got 5 strikeouts in 3 2/3 innings, and some of what we saw yet the last time that these two teams played, but he had that one mistake pitch to Dylan Noisy, and those were the 2 runs that he'd given up. And so far, he really hasn't made any mistakes. I mean, he made a good pickoff throw to first, and then it was just an unfortunate circumstance that played the first run for Harwich.
So here's a swing and a miss by Dylan Noisy on a breaking ball inside. And again, Noisy had the big game against Eric Tolman the last time these two faced off. He falls behind here 0-1 so far today. Noisy is 0-for-1 with a fly out to left. Tolman ready with the 0-1 pitch. That'll miss inside. Good pick by Austin Wells, and the count will even here at 1 apiece.
We know what Noisy can bring to the table in the field, but really great to see him swing the bat a lot better as of late.
1-1's a breaking ball from Tolman. That one narrowly missing inside, and the count's going to go 2-1 here on a guy for Harwich who has been hitting hotter than anybody else in the entire team, at least in the lineup, as he will foul this one off into the, or back behind the YD bullpen. So the 2-2 count, Dylan Noisy, the Texas Tech Red Raider, standing in from the left side, looking to get things started for the M's here. Maybe get a little 2-out rally going up by 1. Here comes the pitch, and that'll miss low and in.
Noisy, of course, playing both center field and shortstop, but you get power at that shortstop position. It's really a position that has gotten a lot more power over the last 15 years or so. You look at guys like Francisco Lindor, Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, new guys that are at that shortstop position bring a ton of power to the middle infield. And
that's translated to the guys that have come into this league as well, with people like Hayden Cantrell playing shortstop in the All-Star games. It's going to be a 6-pitch walk here to Dylan Noisy, and his speed is on base with 2 away.
Number 14.
Another guy who homered earlier in this earlier today in that Brewster game, Gage Workman, bringing a little bit of power as well.
Dylan Noisy becomes the 4th base runner of the day for the Mariners in just as many innings, and the second walk of the day here issued by Eric Tolman. The last time he walked a guy, it was Riley Tirada, who came around to score on the quote-unquote stolen base, as the first pitch will be fouled away here by Chris Lanzilli.
Lanzilli picked up his first home run of the season against a lefty in that second doubleheader game a couple of days ago in Orleans.
And Lanzilli also, he's got to be one of the happiest guys on the team. I mean, him and Mike Ludwig just always wearing smiles out there. Through the ups, through the downs, the wins, the losses, and everything else in between. They have been 2 of the guys that have just kind of kept this team going. And I think that's something we don't talk about enough as a pickoff move goes over to first. This has to be one of the nicest teams to cover, and also one of the teams that has really just gelled together. I mean, you can tell these guys are having a lot of fun.
Yeah, they certainly are, and some of that fun's really translated to wins in the month of July after what was considered a slow start in June. But once the chemistry really developed, these guys really could rely on each other to make the big plays, and that's what we've seen over the last couple of weeks here in Harwich.
The 0-1 will miss low and in, and after the first week or so, once the season really kind of got underway, Harwich spent most of June in the basement of the East and then kind of quietly climbed their way back out as the Brewster Whitecaps did them a favor here or there. So Brewster currently sits in that last spot. Harwich has a 2.5-game lead, and they're going to look to at least hold the Whitecaps at arm's length if they can pick up a victory today. The 1-1 to Lanzilli. That's going to be roped into the gap in left center. It's going to get down, and this could potentially score Noisy. They're going to wave him. It's going to be close as the cutoff is in there. The throw comes home. Noisy will slide, and he's in. Dylan Noisy is going to come around to score from first base on an RBI double from Chris Lanzilli, and the Mariners are up 2-0.
Just all that speed from Dylan Noisy paying off. He gets a running start with a pitch on contact as Lanzilli ropes one into the left center field gap as Noisy's a little gimpy coming up. I think he slid into the bat when he was coming home, but he got full speed coming in. The third base coach waving him in. It was a great cutoff throw to Young, and he came in with a good throw from short, but just sliding under the Austin Wells tag is Dylan Noisy, and there's a big insurance run for Harwich here in the fourth.
I'll tell you what, they caught Young completely off guard because I don't think he was expecting to have to turn around and make a throw. He kind of looked startled when he turned around. Then it was still a pretty good throw, but an even better slide by Dylan Noisy. So no hesitation by Coach Tebow over there at third base as he was waving Noisy around before he even got close to the bag, and Dylan rounds it and comes home. So with a runner in scoring position, Mike Rothenberg will step to the plate. Another run here, Colin, with 2 away for the Mariners.
You beat me to the point right there. I was about to mention it. 3 words, 2 out hitting. That is something that the Mariners have done all season long. Even when they were struggling, they still hit the ball well with 2 away in the inning.
Here comes the 0-1 pitch, and Rothenberg will swing wildly at that one. Pulled the string on him there a little bit, did Eric Tolman, as that one misses low. So the count goes 0-2 here on Mike Rothenberg. Riley Tirada, who scored the first run of the day, stands on deck for the Mariners. They lead it 2-0 here in the 4th inning. Eric Tolman still laboring out there on the mound for the YD Red Sox. And a Red Sox team that kind of burned a golden opportunity to take over first place in the East as they had a 2-game series with the Chatham Anglers, and for it, they end up in the basement swinging and missing as Rothenberg. He will go down as the 6th strikeout victim of the day, and that will end the inning. But not before Harwich strikes for a crucial run here. It's now a 2-0 lead for the Mariners when we come back here on the Harwich Radio Network. Welcome back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we move over and go to the 5th inning. And a quick score to update you on. The Falmouth Commodores have actually jumped out to a 1-0 lead as Point Streak once again beats Twitter. So it'll be a 1-0 lead over the Orleans Firebirds, and that's big because, again, Harwich is hot on the heels of the Firebirds. They're just a game and a half behind them coming into this game. So if Harwich can win and Orleans can lose, the Mariners could go from a situation where 2 weeks ago they were fighting for a playoff spot to potentially finding their way into the postseason as the 3 seed, which would be big because that could mean they'd play this YD team as opposed to a Chatham team that they have struggled a lot with. But still a lot of baseball to be played between now and then, Colin, and one thing we know for sure, it's going to be a very, very interesting 6 days of baseball.
It certainly will be. And one last quick note on that Falmouth-Orleans game. Falmouth wins. That's 9 wins in a row for the Commodores. What a streak they have been on. And this was a team that we knew was talented, but they didn't get an opportunity to play a lot of games. Now all of a sudden, they are really paying off with these results.
Yeah, 8 wins in a row, and keep in mind they've had help from the All-Star break, giving them a rest, and also the weather a little bit. As standing in here to take his second at bat of the day is Tate Samuelson. Antonio Menendez is back out there for the M's. 1-0 pitch is going to catch the zone for strike 1. So we'll see whether or not Harwich can hold this lead. They still have about half a baseball game left to do it, but Menendez has looked awfully good so far. He has given up just the 1 walk as he gets a swing and a miss here from Tate Samuelson. And again, we talked about Antonio Menendez. He had maybe the shakiest start to the season by any Harwich pitcher who's still on the active roster, but every single game he's been getting better and better, and he's been aging like a fine wine. So the 1-2 is swung on and missed by Tate Samuelson. That'll be strikeout number 3 for Menendez, and another man down here for the Red Sox.
And an efficient start for Menendez, as well as this next pitch will be his 50th, so he's on pace to maybe go 7 or possibly 8 innings, so he's able to keep up this quick pace against a very talented YD lineup.
And that would be extremely helpful for a Harwich team that is already a little bit thin at the bullpen spot. Harwich Mariners kind of needing to use their arms out there sparingly, so we'll see what they can do. As standing in here is Riley King, and he will foul this one off to get behind 0-1. And it's kind of interesting that we're seeing as many righties in the lineup here against Antonio Menendez as we are. As you and I mentioned, this is a lineup that has hit the Mariners very well, but guys that really struggle against a sidearm pitcher like Menendez, who grooves this one in for strike 2. That time Menendez went over the top with the curveball, so he does have that traditional arm angle that he'll use from time to time. Here comes his 0-2 back to the sidearm and trying to get Riley King to chase that one outside.
Yeah, you got him to shift his weight there. King really wanted to offer at that pitch, but a good job of holding up. I'm sure he saw that his teammates have been getting fooled by that slider time and time again.
The 1-2 to Riley King. That one's going to be jam shot out into right field, and it's going to drop for the first hit of the day. We didn't even say anything, but coming into the 5th inning, it was a potential no-hitter going into that for Antonio Menendez, but that will be broken up as the first man to reach base on a hit is Riley King, and with one away, that will bring Jake Palmer up to the plate with a runner on first.
Yeah, it's been the MO this season for Riley King, a very high average guy. He's hit really well against lefties and still been respectable. 262 coming into today against right-handed pitching, and that time he just gets enough under that ball and is able to flare it over Cavades' head into right for the first hit of the ball game for YD.
So here comes Jake Palmer, batting from the right side, so the lefty will face off against the righty Menendez with a runner on first. King's going, and it's going to be caught. Good throw down to second, but it's going to be off the bag a little bit too far, and Hal Hughes can't come over in time. It was a really quick reaction from Mike Rothenberg, who got the throw off way ahead of time. It wasn't a great jump that was delivered there by Riley King, but he will be in safely with another stolen base.
Yeah, and it was a great pop there from Rothenberg out of the crouch, but it seemed like he got a little over anxious and kind of threw that ball a little bit too low. It came in with good velocity, but it was a tough play to field for Hughes and stolen base for Riley King.
So with no 1 count, once again it'll be Jake Palmer who's grounded out once. He squares to bunt, lays it down. This one is a beauty. It'll be picked up. The throw on to first. Oh boy. They're going to call him safe on that. It was very close over there at first. We'll have to go to the replay and check this one for ourselves. And part of the reason why I think that play was so close, it looked like Riley Tirado was going to wait and see if the ball was going to roll foul. It did not. It was a perfect bunt laid down by Jake Palmer, and that is going to result in runners being at the corners here with 1 away.
Yeah, very tough play over at third base for Tirado, but he did a pretty good job of fielding that ball. He knew it wasn't going to roll foul, so he had to pick it up as quick as possible, but Palmer looked like just got his foot in there, but again, a very close play, and now all of a sudden, tying runs over at first with just 1 out.
So this could be big for the YD Red Sox, as they've now got the go-ahead runner up at the plate and the tying run standing over there on first base. And upon further review, it did look like he did get his foot in there in time. So a good call over there at first base. Quick pickoff move made by Menendez here, but nothing doing. Another quick update for you. Another home run, the 3rd of the day for the Brewster Whitecaps, who now lead 6-0. And it's none other than Tyler Hardman, the winner of the Home Run Derby. 1-0 pitch. That one didn't miss by much, but it's going to be just under the knees here of Jake Palmer, and the count is 2-0, and that's going to prompt Coach Berger to come out and have a word with Menendez.
This could be a bad sign of things to come for Harwich if this Brewster lineup gets hot in terms of power. They have so much power up and down the lineup with guys like Hardman, TJ Collette, and of course even Gage Workman, who went yard earlier. There's just so much power in that lineup, and those guys can get the bats moving, and Harwich is going to have their hands full, especially with those 2 games coming up against them and Brewster with 2 additional games to play. So it really should be an exciting stretch of baseball over the next 6-7 days.
I mean, I've said it before, the Brewster Whitecaps are a team. They have 6 or 7 guys that can just drop tanks whenever they want, but they just haven't this year, and that's part of the reason why they've lost as many games as they have. So, yeah, it'll certainly be interesting. The other thing to remember, Colin, is that Harwich actually has their last game of the season against Bourne, but after that game, or sorry, against Brewster. But after that game, Brewster will get to play a Bourne team that's got nothing to play with. As right now, pending some crazy things happening in the West, which probably won't happen. If they win out, they get the 4 seed. If they lose out, they get the 4 seed. So that's a Brewster team, or a Bourne team that's not really going to be playing for a whole lot, and they'll likely be resting their guys up and looking forward to their first playoff match. Here it's Antonio Menendez back to work. The 2-0 pitch is going to be taken into right field. That'll chase Cabrera back to the wall. He looks up, and it's gone. The YD Red Sox have done it again, this time courtesy of Jake Palmer, and that is going to give a 3-2 lead. Here are the Sox.
Yeah, it was actually Carson Taylor who ends up going yard. His first hit of the season is a 3-run home run that gives YD the lead, and how about that? It's just been the 3-run home run that's made the difference for YD. Jack Thomas Wald hit that late one in the bottom of the 8th about a little over a week ago, and Menendez gets bitten by the home run ball again by a guy who hasn't really had a lot of success at the plate this season. That has changed for the Virginia Tech designated hitter.
So that'll send us to the bottom of the order as Sam Hall will come up again, but the situation has changed a bit, and Antonio Menendez finally getting some run support, and he is going to lose it there with one swing of the bat. So YD continuing to show off the power, and now squaring around to bunt is Sam Hall. Palmer, of course, had the single and was actually standing on first. That's my mistake. But he will come around to score, as will Riley King, who is on second. So it's a 3-run shot here for the YD Red Sox. That pitch is going to be just off the plate here, and the count goes 2-0.
And if you're the Harwich Mariners and Antonio Menendez, you got to just look past this last set of batters and just move on here. You're still in this ball game. You still have a really good offense, and you got to just keep swinging and keep getting outs for your Menendez as the 2-0 is over on the bunt attempt for strike one.
Yep, squaring around to bunt there, and unable to get the bat on the ball was Sam Hall. So Hall, who has already struck out once today, and also who may not be seeing the ball very well, may not be seeing anything very well after he had to come out of the game very briefly and kind of get himself checked out as he had something in his eye. Will swing at this pitch, and the count is even at 2-2.
Sure, Carson Taylor's going to remember that first hit in the Cape League for a long time, and been a really frustrating start to him at the plate. All of a sudden that changes as he gets a hold of one and just gets it over the right field fence.
2-2 pitch will miss high and away. So it's going to be a full count here to Sam Hall, and Harwich really just needs to find a way to get out of this inning without any more damage being done, as a 1-run game is still very, very much within their grasp. And this one's going to miss inside, so it's going to be a walk here to Sam Hall. And, oh boy, Colin, now the top of the order is going to come up with one away.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a rough going this 5th inning for Menendez, and he ended up going 4 2/3 against YD last time, and it was a rough 5th inning for him last time as well. That was when that Austin Wells home run took place, and that at the time actually tied the game up for YD, but this time 3-run shot gives him a lead here in the 5th, and they're looking to add some more with just one away and a runner on first.
Yep, and they've got the best part of the order up to do it, as Wyatt Young and Brad Beasley will be coming up. Here's kind of the almost submarine angle that we see from Menendez from time to time, and that's going to be in there for strike one. Menendez had been absolutely cruising, as after getting the first out via a strikeout in the 5th inning, he had retired all but one hitter that he had faced. That was Carson Taylor, who had the walk, and then Carson Taylor gets to him again with a 3-run home run. Runner takes off. Rothenberg's throw to second's a good one, and they are going to absolutely smoke Sam Hall at second.
Just a phenomenal tag over at short by Hal Hughes, as Rothenberg threw that one once again a little bit lower than he would have liked, but it was thrown hard enough where the ball skipped up in a good spot, and Hughes just picks it perfectly, and a great tag to catch Hall trying to steal second.
So Wyatt Young will stand in there once again with a 1-1 count, but nobody on base now, and he'll watch this one get in there on the outer half for a strike. So a 1-2 count. Menendez trying to get out of the inning here with just 3 runs given up. The windup and the pitch. And that'll be taken up the middle. That's going to get through for a hit, as chasing it over was Hal Hughes. He can't get the glove on it. And that is going to be another hit surrendered here in what has turned into a huge YD fifth inning.
And no hits for YD through the first 4 innings, and now 4 in the 5th, and that's just classic Wyatt Young doing a good job of getting a bat on the ball, and he just finds a hole up the middle. It was a really tough play for both middle infielders, and the rally continues with a very dangerous part of the lineup coming up for the YD Red Sox.
Yep, it'll be Brad Beasley taking his hacks, and while he might be 0 for 2, at least here to start this game, he's got a 282 average on the season, 10 RBIs for him already, and a 373 on base percentage. That might be the most impressive thing about this YD team is Beasley swings and misses at a fastball high. They have a lot of guys on the roster, 4 to be exact, with an on-base percentage of above 400 this year, and that's been a part of the reason why they've been able to win so many shootouts. Menendez sets from the belt on the 0-1. Thinks about this for a while, and here comes the pitch. And once again, he gets a swing and a miss here, missing the bat of Brad Beasley.
Young with a lot of speed over at first, 8 steals on the season. He's been caught 3 times. 47 steals as a team for YD this year.
So with Wyatt Young standing on first, opportunity coming up here, and the pitch is on its way. Strike 3. Brad Beasley is going to go down looking here. Another strikeout for Antonio Menendez, but the damage has been dealt courtesy of a Carson Taylor 3-run home run. The YD Red Sox now lead it 3-2. Harwich will try to get it back when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey, a 3-2 lead for the YD Red Sox. Colin, have you heard the story about the man who actually spilled a can of paint onto a canvas, and he thought it looked kind of okay, so he sent it to auction, and it sold for over $385,000. Wow. That is the Scott Pickler method of coaching right there, as once again, he decides to go with Carson Taylor, a guy who does not have a single hit on the year, not one, in 14 at-bats coming into this game, instead of Eric Tolman, who's already gotten several RBIs. And well, his first hit of the year is a 3-run bomb over the right field fence that gives YD a lead. I mean, what does he do? What does Scott Pickler know about baseball that the rest of us just don't?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane that he was able to predict pretty much that one. Is tough decision between DHing Taylor or else letting Tolman hit for himself in that 8th spot, but said he goes with Carson Taylor, reaches base in his first at-bat, drawing that walk, and then gets a pitch to hit against Menendez and deposits it over the right field fence. So that's been the difference so far. Let's see if Harwich can respond here in the bottom of the 5th.
Yep, it'll be Riley Tirada to lead things off. The first pitch he sees from Eric Tolman is going to be in there for strike 1, and after him it'll be Daniel Cabrera and how he was due up here in this half of the inning. So we'll see with an 0-1 count what Riley Tirada can do, trying to start things off for the Mariners, and he will watch this pitch miss low and away. Tirada did reach on a walk back in the 3rd inning and then came around to score. So a productive set of at-bats here for the Mariners so far. Just the 1 hit for him. It was a double against the YD Red Sox, and on the 1-1 pitch, he will watch that miss low around the knees for ball 2.
Yeah, for Tirada, it's been an all-around game for him. He had the walk back in the 3rd, stolen base that plated a run, and also a great defensive play over at 3rd back in the 2nd inning.
The 2-1 pitch, and that will be fouled off. Back into the stands. Pretty good crowd here on hand at White House Field. I feel like we've said that a number of times, but I mean, really overall, this is one of the better attended stadiums here in the Cape Cod Baseball League, at least from what we've seen. Smaller sample size at all the other parks. As the 2-2 pitch is going to be checked there by Tirada. It'll bounce off the glove and back to the backstop. So the count has been worked full here from Eric Tolman to Riley Tirada.
Yeah, and as far as all of the Eastern teams go, all 5 of them are in the top 7, so a lot of people out on the eastern part of the Cape coming to watch these teams play.
Here comes the payoff pitch from Tolman. That one's going to be spoiled as Riley Tirada fouls it away. You telling me a lot of people don't want to make the short drive out to Wareham on a Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough spot to be in for the gateman to market their team, but at least they have the on-the-field product. I mean, they won it all last year, and it seems like every year they've got a pretty solid team with MLB-ready talent.
Payoff pitch is going to be taken high in the air by Tirana. This into the Bermuda's triangle out there in right or in left field, I should say. And coming in to make the catch is Tate Samuelson. So that's going to be the first out of the inning as we flip the book and go back to the top of the order. Daniel Cabrera will be taking over here. And Colin, you and I remember the game that got fogged out at the beginning of the season at Wareham, and you and I counted probably, I don't know, maybe between 60 and 75 fans there. And the next day it was reported as 865. So, again, the attendance number is sometimes a little bit fishy, but Wareham not finding themselves near the top of that list this season anyway, as the first pitch to Daniel Cabrera is in there for a strike.
Yeah, and with Wareham, Falmouth, Bourne, it's no surprise they're at the bottom three just because of geography.
Here's a ball hit out into right field, but not even having to move is Palmer, and he will take the ball himself there for out number 2.
But yeah, back to my point is it's just kind of hard to market in those areas when, you know, a lot of tourists come to these games and they're mostly staying in the middle and outer Cape. So it's kind of a tough spot to be in, but, you know, some teams out towards the eastern or towards the western part of the Cape do a solid job. You know, Hyannis, Katuitt, both 4th and 5th respectively. So even without a talented team like Hyannis, they still draw pretty good numbers down in the harbor.
First pitch to Hal Hughes will miss low for a ball. I feel like if you look at just strictly consistent attendance from residents of these areas, it would be pretty close all across the Cape. But as you mentioned, the tourism numbers really help bolster the league's popularity as the 1-1, or as the 0-1 is going to be in there for a strike. And part of that came to life at the All-Star game this year that saw attendance of 8,293. And I don't think that counted myself and Alex, who may or may not have slipped in the back gate. I'm just kidding. But there were several people that I'm sure showed up and were not counted during that game. And still a massive turnout as they filled the hill at Eldridge Park. Tolman from the windup. Here's the 2-1 pitch. And that one's going to be taken. That's a base hit on the left side. That'll get over the head and in between the 5-6 hole. So here we go, Colin. 2 away, and Hal Hughes finds his way on for Joey Weimer.
Yeah, Hughes been really squaring the ball up a lot. I mean, we've seen more hits from him generally, but it seems like he's been making better contact as well, and that might be a big reason why Coach Steve Engler put him back that high in the lineup. And his success this season against YD, he's now a cool 5 of 17 on the year with a double against his team.
First pitch to Joey Weimer, low and away, catches that corner, and the count here goes to 0-1. Weimer so far today has not fared well. A couple of strikeouts for him as the 0-1 pitch is going to be taken up the left side, but right at the shortstop playing the shift. The second baseman, rather, throwing to first. And oh boy, they're going to call that one out as well. Weimer running down the line, steps on first, and that was awfully close, but it's going to be the 3rd out of the inning, and we will go here to the 6th inning. After this, here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey as we go here to the 6th inning. And Colin, the replay booth getting a lot of use today as it's taking another look at that Weimer play. It does look like they narrowly got that one right. So Weimer called out at first. And the only question would have been whether or not the ball was dropped out there by Jack Thomas Wald. But either way, it'll be Austin Wells coming up here for the YD Red Sox here in their half of the sixth, as the first pitch from Menendez is in there for a strike. And interestingly enough, Colin, the other thing we noticed, nobody warming up in the Harwich pen before Menendez got in trouble. Nobody warming up during, and here nobody warming up after. It's Antonio's game for the time being as he gets a big swing and a miss from Austin Wells.
Wells hit a couple of balls pretty hard out towards the outfield. Well, one out towards center and then one right at the second baseman, Fedko. So he's behind 0-2. Let's see if he can muscle up on one yet again.
Here comes the 0-2 pitch. That'll miss in the dirt. So a 1-2 count coming up here on the ever-dangerous Austin Wells, another guy who, while he is 0-2 today, has had an impressive season throughout the course of 2019, batting .316 and on-base percentage just under 400, and so far 24 RBIs for him. That leads the team. He'll take a pitch here, and that'll be once again outside, so it'll be a 2-2 count coming up here on Austin Wells. The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike three. Another K for Antonio Menendez, who, aside from that rough patch in the fifth, Colin, has really looked good today.
Yeah, he was phenomenal through the first 4 innings, not allowing any hits, just the one walk to Carson Taylor, who's pretty much done all the damage for YD with that 3-run home run last inning. And see if he can make it through the heart of the lineup this time. And here's a guy that also had a big 3-run home run against Harwich earlier in the year.
Jack Thomas Wald, he will rake this one down the right field line and just tuck that one fair. It's going to roll into the corner. Picking it up is Daniel Cabrera. He's going to throw this one in, and it'll be a stand-up double for Jack Thomas Wald here with one out.
Well, for Jack Thomas Wald, he's got 3 hits on the season in 11 at-bats against Harwich. All 3 of them been for extra bases, so when he makes contact against Harwich, he has made the most of it, and that time just able to keep that ball fair down the right field line, and now runner in scoring position with one away. So YD looking to add to their 1-run lead.
They certainly have a good opportunity to do so here with one away, and Tate Samuelson coming to the plate. Another guy, seemingly everybody in the lineup who started off 0-2, or in the case of Carson Taylor, 0-0, have found their way on the second or third time through. Here comes the pitch, and that one is going to just narrowly miss inside here to Tate Samuelson.
And obviously the concern for YD going through the rest of this game is not can they score enough runs, it is their bullpen. As bullpen was their downfall last time these two teams met, giving up 7 runs.
Certainly want to keep Eric Tolman out there for as long as they can, as the 1-0 pitch is swung on a miss here by Tate Samuelson. Kind of a different situation for Harwich. Both teams want their starter to go a long way, but for Harwich, they have a good bullpen. They're just trying to use it sparingly. For YD, the bullpen has been the shakiest part of the team this year.
Speaking of shaky, the guy warming up was the one who got hit around last time these two teams played, in Carlos Lamelli.
So with a 1-1 count, Menendez will deal. That one is going to be close on the inside part of the plate. They'll call it a strike, and the count goes 1-2 here.
Lamelli went inning and a third plus, giving up 4 runs on 5 hits.
1-2 count here on Tate Samuelson. Setting is Antonio Menendez. He'll check the runner back to second and deliver the pitch. That will be fouled off into the Harwich pen, and look out. It gets past the lookout man, and the guy there supposed to be playing goal line defense for Harwich lets that one get under his glove. So everybody else kind of looks disapprovingly out there at whoever missed that. It was actually Connor McCullough. And that ball had a lot of movement to it. Kind of took an awkward hop. Fortunately, everybody's okay down there for Harwich.
And speaking of the Harwich bullpen, southpaw warming up, Cam Bauman.
Haven't seen him since the Brewster game, as this pitch is fouled away by Tate Samuelson. It was a really weird couple of weeks for Cam Bauman, who came into the game here at White House Field against, I'm trying to remember the opponent off the top of my head, and took that pitch right back up the middle. It was the Katuitt Kettleers, and that ball rocket back at him. He actually had to get pulled from the game. Then the next time he comes into a game, it's against the Brewster Whitecaps, and they just find his number magically lying around and take him deep a number of times in a game where they almost come back and win. So a couple of really weird outings for Cam Bauman, but a solid pitcher overall. And he will look to get back on the right track, as it appears the Harwich Mariners will be handing the reins over to him potentially after this inning.
In that Katuitt game, it was actually Bauman who relieved Menendez that time, so looking like a similar situation here in another close ball game.
It was Dante Williams who took the ball back up the middle at him. Unfortunately, those two were teammates, so they were able to FaceTime after that game, make sure he was okay. Here's a rocket hit to short. Hal Hughes picks it up, turns and fires to first, and it's going to be in time for the second out of the inning. Jack Thomas Wold holds up at second, and Riley King, who got things started in the 5th inning, Colin, for the big rally, will stand in with 2 away and a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, Yeah, despite not having to move that much, not an easy play for Hal Hughes at short. That ball was hit right on the nose as he had to kind of take a couple of steps to his right, but also back, and had to pop up because that ball hit the lip and came up high on him. But he kept the ball in front of him, made a strong throw to first, and now all of a sudden Harwich looking to get out of the inning with no runs allowed.
So Riley King, who was 1 for 2 today with a base hit and a stolen base, came across to score one of the 3 runs, courtesy of the Carson Taylor home run. He stands in now. Menendez's first pitch, that's going to be a jam shot, but right at Riley Terada, who will collect it, and that will be the 3rd out of the inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th, still a 3-2 lead for the YD Red Sox. When we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
All right, and welcome back here to White House Field here in Harwich, Massachusetts. And you may not recognize my voice. That is because I am guest appearing on this broadcast tonight for the Mariners. My name is Tim Foley. I am a upcoming sophomore at Fitchburg State University, and Tyler Henry and Colin Casey have been generous enough to allow me to come on to the broadcast and call a half inning here for the Mariners. I'm generally a game day intern, do the 50-50 raffle, but have an interest in broadcasting and luckily able to get on the mic today.
First pitch to Christian Fedko is just outside for a ball, and Tim, it's great to have you here on the broadcast, and we've had plenty of guests this season, but this is probably the first time as that pitch is theirs that we've had not only a game day intern with them, but someone also who's interested in broadcasting, and it's really great to have you on.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to come on. I mean, I've done it for a few years now, and I figured come in this year and kind of see how operations go as this ball grounded to the shortstop, throw over to first. That's going to pull the man off the bag, and so safe at first is Christian Fedko after Yarmouth Dennis not able to make the throw from short in time to first.
Yeah, it was a tough play over at short for Wyatt Young. He kind of had to charge it there, and the throw off balance took first baseman Jack Thomas walled off the bag and made a diving effort to keep it in front of him, which is probably big. It probably saved Fedko, the leadoff man, from advancing to second.
Yeah, you got to be careful on those opportunities. You want to get them out, but you don't want to overextend your effort. And on the mound now for Yarmouth Dennis, Carlos Lamelli, the right-hander for Yarmouth Dennis, plays his college ball at St. Mary's. There's the pitch. That's in there for a strike. Count now 1-1.
And Nico Cavadas digging in. He struck out in both of his first at-bats, but that was against the lefty Tolman. Now he's got a righty on the mound as he does a lot better against right-handed pitching for sure.
Here's the 1-1 pitch, and that finds the zone. Count now goes to 1-2. Lamelli coming into this game, overall record 1-3. He has an ERA of 8.59 so far on the season. This is his 8th appearance on the Cape. He's started 3 games, and he is here to continue this pitching today for Yarmouth Dennis. They get the lead back after initially trailing 2-0, and so looking to continue it and keep this lead is Lamelli.
Lamelli had a very tough outing last time against Harwich, but got a chance to redeem himself, keeping the lead for his team.
That ball misses the zone outside. Count now goes to 2-2. In the box, Cavadas, who on the night has struck out twice already. Here's the pitch, 2-2. That goes inside. That will load the count now, 3-2.
Cavadas looking to add his 10th home run on the season. It's a league lead in 9. Of course, all 9 of them coming against right-handed pitching, and with Lamelli on the mound, who's struggled against Harwich this season, he's looking to take advantage of that.
Here's the full count pitch. Gets some swinging. First out of the inning. Down goes Cavadas.
Yeah, it was a fastball once again by Lamelli. Challenge fastball up and in. He's able to get it by him, and in steps a guy who had a solid game against YD last time out with 2 home runs in Dylan Noisy, and he'll try to take advantage of that once again with YD bullpen trying to keep this lead, and no one else warming for now, so it could be a multiple inning effort from Carlos Lamelli.
And that's what you hope for guys as you go closer to the postseason. You want to expend less arms, kind of keep everyone as fresh as you possibly can. As Noisy swings on the first pitch there, count goes 0-1. Noisy reaching on a walk in his last at-bat in the 4th, ended up coming all the way around to score. Lamelli setting, staring down the zone. The wind-up delivery, Noisy, chopper on the ground, shoveled over to second, throw to first, double play, not in time. Gets the lead man at second, but safe at first will be Noisy. And so with 2 outs, Harwich still with a runner on first base.
Yeah, it was going to be a tough turn for sure over at short by Young. He flipped it on over to Sam Hall, and just too much speed coming down the line from Dylan Noisy. Right there to make the call is Jason Klump, the first base umpire, and stretch from Wall just couldn't quite get Noisy. So let's see if he's in motion now over on first base. We know the speed that he has, and Chris Lanzilli digs in with 2 away.
Lanzilli is last time up. RBI double as Noisy got a start, it seemed, but he decided not to as the first pitch in there for a strike. Count 0-1.
5 steals on the season for Noisy. He has been caught twice.
Lamelli checks back over to first. Keeps Noisy pinned there. Count at 0-1 to Lanzilli. Lamelli delivers outside, and then the throw back to first from the catcher, trying to catch Noisy sleeping. Luckily, though, for YD, the first baseman able to hold on to the ball.
That was a pitch out to Austin Wells, so it was a design play. Noisy was getting a little aggressive off first base. Wells rushed the throw a little bit, ended up throwing it to the outside part of the bag. Impossible play for Jack Thomas Wall to make.
Noisy goes to second, throw over to the bag, not in time. He is safe. So Noisy with the steal, and the count goes to 2-1 as the Mariners now have a man in scoring position. Dylan Noisy, the tying run for the Mariners if he can get across the plate.
Yeah, that's the 3rd steal of the game from Harwich. They've been really aggressive on the base paths. You saw the first run come home, Riley Terrata on the technical steal of home with Cabrera going to second, and then just now Noisy swipes second with 2 away. Let's see if Lanzilli can deliver with some more 2-out hitting.
Lamelli looking back to second to try and keep Noisy there. That pitch looks like it misses. Count now goes to 3-1.
And Zilly's got that tying run on second base. If he can just get a ball into the outfield. We saw Noisy score from first when Lanzilli doubled back in the fourth, so should be pretty easy goings for him to score on a base hit to the outfield.
Lamelli delivers in there for a strike. That will load the count now. 3-2. 2 outs here. Noisy going to be on the move at the pitch.
Mike Rothenberg in the on-deck circle. He's 0 for 2 so far.
And he did not go for it. They checked down at the first to make sure, but able to check his swing and get on base is Lanzillian. So now the Mariners with runners on first and second base. With 2 outs here, in comes the catcher, Mike Rothenberg.
Yeah, for Lamelli, he was trying to fight back there. Couldn't quite get that payoff pitch by Lanzilli as he thought about swinging, but was able to hold up in time, and so that'll give Mike Rothenberg an opportunity in this one. He is 222 on the season with runners in scoring position with 2 away, so see if he can add to that and pick up some more RBIs and perhaps tie this game.
Exactly, a big moment here as YD looking at their lead, trying not to wave it goodbye just yet, seeing if they can hold on to it into the later innings here as Lamelli making sure Noisy's still at the bag as he takes another moment. Goes into his windup. There it is. Pitch misses the zone. Count now 1-0.
YD with a shift on Rothenberg, the switch hitting catcher. You see Sam Hall playing deep on the outfield grass and Wyatt Young holding the runner at second. So that leaves a lot of space on the left side of the infield.
And takes another pitch there, misses 2-0.
Yeah, Lamelli struggling to find the strike zone so far in this outing. He did issue 1 walk. It was mainly the hits that did him in, giving up 5 in an inning and a third plus.
And swinging and missing there, draws the count to 2-1.
Be interesting to see if Noisy takes off at all during this at-bat. We saw the aggression with him on first and two-way, swiping second. Maybe he'll try to go up to third, but I don't know about that considering the fact that he should score regardless on a ball hit to the outfield.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. Misses, and Noisy catching YD sleeping. No, they get him at third. Noisy, a little too eager there, thought he could catch Lamelli sleeping, but YD guns him down at the bag, and Harwich leaves 2 runners on as they still trail by 1 going into the top of the 7th inning.
head to the 7th from White House Field. Colin Kesey alongside guest color commentator Tim Foley. And Tim, an interesting end to that last inning as Dylan Noisy tried taking off not on the pitch, but as the throw was being returned by Austin Wells, he got a little too anxious with 2 outs in the inning and ended up getting thrown out at third in a promising 6th inning.
I mean, you want to give your team the best chance to score, and that's what he thought he was doing by advancing all the way up to third. But he must have seen something that led him to believe that YD wasn't even thinking about him going to third, but pitcher Lamelli able to catch on just quickly enough and gun him down at the last possible second. And now here we are, Harwich still trailing, top of the 7th, 3-2.
So it'll be a bottom of the order due up for the Red Sox, but don't let that fool you as they've done a ton of damage today, reaching base 4 times in 6 plate appearances, including the big 3-run home run by Carson Taylor, due up second this inning. But first it's going to be Jake Palmer facing the new pitcher in Cam Bauman. Lefty on lefty, the first pitch to Palmer is hit on the ground but foul down the first base line. Palmer 1 for 2 with a single and a ground out. He came around to score on that home run from Taylor, and he will face Bauman, the University of Iowa product, 1-0 with a 6.75 ERA this season through 12 innings. And the 0-1 is past the catcher Rothenberg all the way to the backstop. Bauman, of course, his last outing, as Tyler Henry alluded to earlier in the broadcast, was that rough one against Brewster, but caught a break as that game ended due to darkness, with Brewster coming all the way back, trailing 11-0, made it 12-11, but darkness and weather threatening ended that game prematurely, and Harwich was credited with the victory.
And that's just got to be heartbreaking when you know you've clawed your way back into a game such as that, and then they call it due to just uncontrollable factors. It's demoralizing.
Yeah, very tough break for the Whitecaps, but they got an opportunity here tonight if they can pick up this victory against Hyannis. They were leading big early in that game, and if YD takes care of business here at White House Field against the Mariners, they would be back to a game and a half behind with 2 games in hand on the Harwich Mariners.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how these teams battle back and forth, leading all the way up to the final 2 games of the season against each other, both Harwich and Brewster. Should be an interesting duel for that final playoff spot.
So it's now a full count to Jake Palmer, UC Irvine product. And the payoff pitch will miss high for ball 4, so it's a leadoff walk for Cam Bauman. And in steps Carson Taylor, who had a huge hit earlier. And let's see if it actually is him or if Scott Pickler will go to a pinch hitter early. It appears to be Taylor for the time being, as we're going to get a mound visit here. And yeah, Taylor stepping in, as he's actually a switch hitter. He'll be batting from the right side this time, usually a catcher, but playing DH out of Virginia Tech. So Palmer will be the runner at
Number
first.
22, the designated hitter from Virginia Tech.
And Carson Taylor will look for now his second hit of the season after his first being a big 3-run home run.
And that's always just such a huge advantage to be able to bat switch, because sometimes you'll see teams put in pitchers based on who's coming up in the rotation, but if a guy can bat from either side of the plate and he knows he'll do better against a lefty or a righty in a certain way,
as that first pitch is over for a strike,
then he'll just, it can mess with the game plan sometimes for a manager.
Certainly a tough situation for Coach Englert, having to decide who to go with here for the bottom of the order, but Bauman appears to be his guy. No one warming in the pen right now for either team, so multi-inning efforts are expected for both Bauman and his opponent, Carlos Lamelli, as down in the count now 0-2 is Carson Taylor, who's reached base twice in 2 plate appearances, walked in the 3rd, and of course the home run coming in the 5th. Bauman comes to the stretch. Palmer, the runner on first. The 0-2 is swung on a miss, strike 3 in the dirt, and that is out number 1. So after the leadoff walk, Bauman bounces back and gets a pretty good hitter in Taylor and swinging a pitch in the dirt for out number 1.
Number 12, the second baseman from Clemson.
And going back to the pitching you're talking about, I know I already touched on it a little bit, but having relief pitchers who can go so long, it just increases a team's chances to do well in the playoffs, because just you don't want to expend all of your arms, and it can come down to just a single pitch, a single player. And so if you have a guy who's out there too long, too tired perhaps from a start, perhaps earlier in the week, it can ruin a game. And so having these guys who can go long innings is big if either of these two teams wants a chance at a championship this season.
Sam Hall is greeted by a fastball from Cam Bauman that he is well laid on for strike one. Hall out of Clemson. 0 for 1 with a walk. Infield standing at double play depth. The 0-1 misses down and in for ball one. Mariners coming into this game 6-11 against the East this season, as YD faring a little bit better at 9-11-1. Both of these teams doing very well against the West.
Yeah, I mean, the East is a tough division.
There's a swing and a foul pop back behind the plate.
I mean, if you look at the standings, Harwich right now, who's right on the edge of a playoff spot, as is Brewster. Both of these teams would be shoo-ins for the playoffs if you were looking at them in the West instead. And so it's just kind of working with the teams you're playing against. Don't just get so upset because you realize, hey, maybe we're better than 3 teams in the other division. You got to play out of your division. And ultimately, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Fly ball out towards right is routine play for Daniel Cabrera. He runs it down for out number 2. And looking at the West, you saw Hyannis with a really tough season this year. Tim, it's just an added benefit. It's been all season long for the West, knowing that even if they're playing their worst baseball, there's always going to be someone below them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think 3 of the 4 playoff spots in the West have already been claimed. I think there's just one that's left to be taken, and that's, I think, just a matter of time for, I don't know the team off the top of my head. Bourne, yes, that's right. And so, tough season over for Hyannis, but what's nice about the Cape League is that it's a relatively new set of players every year, and so one season success does not always determine future success for an organization. So there's always a bright light in that regard.
Yeah, the big advantage of having roster turnover year in and year out. We'll see if Hyannis will be able to bounce back next season. As here's the 0-1 pitch from Bauman is in the dirt. Good stop by Rothenberg to even the count 1-1. Wyatt Young, the batter, he is 1 for 3. Couple of ground outs, but he broke through with a single up the middle in the 5th inning. As he tried to spark a 2-out rally after Sam Hill was caught stealing for out number 2 that inning, as there's a nice breaking ball from Bauman over for strike 2. Been a pretty rough game for the top of the order, just 1 for 9 so far. That one hit from Young, Brad Beasley, Austin Wells, 0 for 3 with, or 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts combined so far in tonight's game.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough for YD.
As there's a runner going and there's a fly ball out towards left field, a running catch made by Joey Weimer as he had to run that ball down in the gap, and that will retire the side. And real quick, Tim Foley, thanks for coming on. It was a real pleasure listening to you as our guest commentator and solid inning of play, or half inning play-by-play, half inning of color, getting the full experience. And hopefully we'll have you on again once at some point during the season. It was a real pleasure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys being so willing to have me on.
So we're through 6.5 innings from White House Field. The Mariners trail the YD Red Sox by a score of 3-2. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Carlos Melli out for his second inning of work as the Harwich Mariners look to get back into this game, and Mike Rothenberg will lead things off with a flare out towards right field, and that will get down in front of Jake Palmer for a leadoff single. So Mike Rothenberg coming up big for the Mariners as we welcome Tyler Henry back into the booth. And Tyler, that's a welcome sight right there out of the 8-hole from Mike Rothenberg to reach base to kick off the bottom of the 7th.
Well, and how about that? I mean, Rothenberg, he's a little bit cold coming in there as he had to sit after going down. I mean, he sat there, waited for his pitch, and then Noisy got picked off at third. So he comes back out for another at-bat, facing off against the same pitcher, and this time he hits a little flare out to right. So just like that, the Mariners have the tying run over there on first base with Riley Tirada at the dish.
It's actually be Corey Acton coming in to pinch hit as the first pitch to the University of Florida Gator is over for a strike.
And that just shows how far Corey Acton's come, that he'd be pinch hit in a big situation like this, as it seems like he's been doing a lot better over his last couple of games, including a day yesterday against Katuitt where he came across to score 2 runs.
The 0-1 is hit hard into right field for a base hit. Rothenberg kind of bluffed that he was going to run, and he ends up moving up to second on the single. It's back-to-back hits off of Carlos Amelli for the Harwich Mariners to kick off the bottom of the 7th.
And that's all they got to do. Keep the line moving for Harwich. There's a couple of singles here, and now, again, the tying run is standing in scoring position. The go-ahead run is on first base, and you got your top 3 guys in the order coming up against a pitcher who historically has given up a lot of runs against Harwich. So this could be a golden opportunity here for the Mariners. We'll see whether or not they can cash in here with nobody out and 2 runners aboard.
Another strong game so far from the bottom of the order for Harwich, as they now have 3 hits and 2 walks, reaching base 5 times in 9 plate appearances. First pitch to Daniel Cabrera is a fastball at the knees for a called strike. Cabrera 2 for 3 today with a double and a single. Also stole second back in the 3rd after reaching on that single. Had a fly out to right during the bottom of the 5th inning. Melli will step off. And now some action once again in the bullpen for YD.
Harwich has already stranded 3 runners in scoring position today. This pitch is going to be just called in there for a called strike, but they've capitalized a number of times so far as Riley Tirada and Dylan Noisia both come in to score.
Oscar Carvalhal warming in the pen. And the right-hander could be coming in soon if Lamelli struggles even further in the 7th inning. The 0-2 is just outside for a ball.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not they do bring Carvajal in, as he's got a pretty good spot right now. He's had a number of good games, good outings so far this season, but for the time being, it remains Lamelli. He was trying to work out of some trouble he's gotten himself into here.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Cabrera. Cabrera's teammate at LSU, Hal Hughes, waiting the on-deck circle. A lot of space on the left side of the infield. The 1-2 is hit right that way into left field for a base hit. Rothenberg will hold up at 3rd. The throw comes in and is airmailed, but Austin Wells does a good job of keeping the ball from going to the backstop. So the bases are going to be loaded with nobody out for Hal Hughes after 3 consecutive singles to kick off the bottom of the 7th for the Yems.
And here we go again. Harwich with another just absolute gift-wrapped chance. You mentioned the space off to the right side, and an excellent job of seeing it and pushing it the other way there by Daniel Cabrera. So Harwich is in a golden spot here. Mike Rothenberg on 3rd, Corey Acton the go-ahead run on 2nd, and Daniel Cabrera on 1st with Hal Hughes, who's 1 for 3 today, coming up to the plate.
Hughes with the 1 single coming in his last at-bat in the 5th. And we're going to get a mound visit here as the entire infield coming in alongside the catcher Wells, and we'll have to see if that's going to be the game. And the move has been signaled, so that's going to be it for Carlos Lamelli. Another rough outing for Lamelli after having a relatively solid 1st inning. He gives up 3 consecutive hits in the 7th, and he will be replaced with the bases loaded and nobody out in the bottom of the 7th. You're watching Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners YouTube Network. Oscar Carvajal will be the new pitcher for the YD Red Sox, and Tyler, his teammate Carlos Melli, did not do him any favors as he's going to be coming with the bases loaded and nobody out with the tying run on third base here in the bottom of the seventh.
Well, Scott Pickler continues to defy logic, but this time it doesn't work out for him. At least it hasn't yet paid dividends yet for the Mariners. But yeah, a really weird decision to bring Carlos Lomelli into this game. He has an 8.59 ERA, and the last time he faced Harwich, as you mentioned, he gave up 5 hits, 4 earned runs, and walked 1 batter. So not a guy that's seen Harwich well this year, not a guy that's seen anybody well this year, and they elect to bring him into this game. He gets a big old mess, and now he's going to be relying on his buddy Carvajal to try to bail him out. And Carvajal may have been the better option to bring in at this point right off the bat, as out of Fresno State, an ERA of 3.68, 11 strikeouts. How about this, Colin? No walks this season for Oscar Carvajal, so a big-time chance for another All-Star to get something done here, but he is going to have a very, very steep uphill battle as he will face off against Harwich's 2, 3, and 4 hitters here with the bases loaded.
Book's still wide open on Lomelli, with him being responsible for all 3 runners on base, and if they do come around to score and Harwich takes the lead and holds onto it for good, Lomelli could drop to 1-4 on the season, and Hal Hughes will get an opportunity. Corners playing relatively in for the Red Sox, with the middle infielders at double play depth trying to maybe trade a run for 2 outs. So Carvajal, the righty, out of Fresno State, tasked with trying to get YD out of this inning with limited damage done.
Any damage at this point would bring the Mariners even with YD, regardless of how little it is.
First pitch is a nice breaking ball for strike 1.
That thing has some crazy movement to it. I've never seen well, not never, but I haven't seen a curveball drop like that in quite some time, as that thing just fell completely off the table and right into the strike zone of Hal Hughes.
2 runs on 8 hits so far for the Mariners, but despite out hitting YD, they trail 3-2. 0-1 is hit into left field for a base hit. Rothenberg scores, and they're going to hold the runner Acton at third. It's a game-tying RBI single for Hal Hughes. The score is now 3-3.
And what a big piece of hitting. That's why they put him down there in the 2 spot. We talked about it. Maybe a bit of a strange move, but Hughes has been seeing the ball well, and he goes 2 for 4 here, including the RBI single that's going to bring Rothenberg home. And it's a brand new ball game, ladies and gentlemen. 3-3 here in the 7th, and Harwich may not be done yet. Joey Weimer coming to the plate. The base is still loaded, and Harwich now with a chance to take the lead.
That game-tying single takes Antonio Menendez off the hook for a loss and puts Lomelli right on the hot seat. Joey Weimer 0 for 3 so far with a couple of strikeouts, but a ton of RBIs against YD this season. He's first pitch swinging and hits a chopper to the left side foul into the dugout.
Harwich still looking for what would be potentially their first grand slam of the year if Weimer can put one over the wall in left center, but that's not the goal here for Joey Weimer. Just find a way to rip one up a gap as he's done so well. Right now, they are playing Hall over well to the left side. He's just to the right of the second base bag, so 3 infielders shaded off to the left side. Plenty of room for Weimer if he could push one to the right.
A Gator on third, a couple of Tigers on first and second. First pitch, or the 0-1 rather, to Weimer is swung on and missed. He was way out in front of that for strike 2.
They got the whole zoo out there for the Bearcat, standing in from the left side.
Weimer currently 4 for 14 on the season against the YD Red Sox with those big 5 RBIs. He's also drawn a walk, and that would play to run. But he's down 0-2. The pitch is just off the outside corner, 1-2.
And so far, Colin, twice this year already, Harwich has had the go-ahead run walked in. And most of those have come over the last couple of weeks, so see whether or not that ends up being the case, although Weimer's got to put down the shovel and pick up the bat here.
Chris Galland, about a week and a half ago, drew a go-ahead walk against the Hyannis Harborhawks right here at White House Field in the bottom of the 8th. The 1-2 comes in and hits Weimer, and that's going to plate the go-ahead run. A fastball from Carvajal comes in and hits him right on the hip. That will plate Corey Acton, and the Mariners retake the lead. It's now 4-3.
Well, you can't think of a much more painful way for Joey Weimer to drive in the go-ahead run, but I think he'll take it over there at first base. And more importantly, Colin, the bases stay loaded. Now they have a lead and still nobody out with more speed on the base pass. Hal Hughes at second, Daniel Cabrera 90 feet away, and Joey Weimer at first base for Christian Fedko. And let's see whether that new bat can work some magic here, as he's already picked up one crucial hit today.
Fedko's lone home run on the season came against YD and against a righty. That was off of Jack Leftwich, what seemed like forever ago right here at White House Field. So now all of a sudden, Lamelli on the hook for his second loss of the season against the Harwich Mariners. First pitch to Fedko is another strong breaking ball from Carvajal in there for a strike.
And he's got to be careful with that pitch, because as effective as it looks right now, that thing has been left up a number of times. And if Harwich can find a way to square one up, that could be a lot of trouble here for Oscar Carvajal.
A lot of power in the middle of the lineup for Harwich with Fedko at the plate, Cavadas on deck, Noisy in the hole. The 0-1. There's another breaking ball, and Fedko way out in front of that one. He falls behind 0-2.
And Fedko's going to have to be more protective here. And so far, we haven't seen Oscar Carvajal put a pitch in the zone on an 0-2 count. Still have to be very protective if you're Fedko, but more than likely, he's going to try to get him to chase something on the outer half here.
Already another pitcher warming up for YD as their bullpen continues to have problems against the M's this season. The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and there's a big out number 1 as Carvajal this time goes to the fastball and gets it by Fedko as he strikes out for out number 1.
Well, more importantly for YD, that brings Nico Cavadas up, who is at risk of getting doubled off. Not one of the fastest guys on the Harwich roster, but also one of the biggest power threats, and that seems to have been the case today. He's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, but a lot of that is just because of how aggressive he's been at the plate the last the last month. And tell you what, Nico Cavadas is the guy you want to have at the plate right now, facing off against the righty and Oscar Carvajal. Still no grand slams yet for Harwich this season.
First pitch is in the dirt. A nice stop by Austin Wells. That one easily saving a run. It's now 1-0.
Well, and especially with, as I mentioned, how much speed the Mariners have on the base pass right now with Daniel Cabrera, Hal Hughes, and Joey Weimer on third, second, and first respectively. So anything in the gap should plate 2. If it rolls to the fence, it could plate 3, as we've already seen what Joey Weimer can do, although not sure how well he's feeling after getting plunked by his 4th pitch of the year.
Stretch, the 1-0 is a breaking ball that misses upstairs. The big righty out of Notre Dame for Harwich warming in the pen, Joe Boyle. Be interesting to see if he goes multiple innings. We know what happened the last time he faced the YD Red Sox, and it was a 3-run home run he surrendered to Jack Thomas Wald that eventually gave YD a 5-4 victory at Red Wilson Field. The 2-0. Fouled straight back in. Cavadas took a huge cut at that one.
Those runs are the only ones that he's given up out of the bullpen, though, so far this year. So he's looked pretty much unhittable out of the pen, with the exception of that one pitch. And I'll tell you what, the one thing a lot of people don't notice about Nico Cavadas, for all his power, he has one of the most calm plate stances of anybody else. He just sets the bat back on the shoulder and waits. No movement, no shaking. He's just going to stand there and get ready for the pitch.
He awaits the 2-1. It's a tap or foul just past the batter's box.
The one thing to keep in mind is, as bad as it may sound to say, a strikeout is still preferable to a double play right now if you're Harwich. So Dylan Noisy on deck, that's a big opportunity for Harwich for a guy that's been hitting as well as Noisy has. Cavadas obviously would like to get on base, but definitely take a strikeout over a weak ground ball somewhere on the infield.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 away in the inning, 2 home. The 2-2. Is a line drive, a diving play at first, and that is going to be an inning-ending double play lineout. Jack Thomas Wald with a great lunging play just beyond the first base bag as Cavadas slams his bat in frustration, and somehow YD gets out of the inning only giving up 2 runs, but it is a huge 2 runs, the game-tying and go-ahead runs plated on a single and a hit by pitch respectively. We're through 7 innings. Harwich leads 4-3. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. Top of the 8th from White House Field, 4-3 the lead for the Harwich Mariners. And Tyler, they were able to take the lead last inning, but felt like there could have been more damage. His first pitch is a ground ball towards short by Brad Beasley, and Hal Hughes makes the play for out number 1. But last inning, Harwich had a huge opportunity to take a huge lead, and instead they were only able to just get out in front 1.
I mean, yeah, they had the bases loaded with nobody out, and then a strikeout from Christian Fedko and a line drive from Nico Cavadas to Jack Thomas Wald at first, who was able to double off the runner Joey Weimer. So, yeah, certainly an opportunity, but they did the damage that needed to be done, and while they may not have a few insurance runs here, they are still leading it by 1 here with 1 away in the inning.
In steps the formidable Austin Wells, who's 0 for 3 tonight. And he takes a first pitch strike from Cam Bauman, who's out there for his second inning of work. But of course, Wells with a pair of home runs against the Mariners this season. One of the biggest power threats in all of the Cape League. And he swings at the 0-1 and fouls it off. But a big problem for Wells tonight is he's found himself in unfavorable counts all game, and he's in danger of striking out for the second time in as many at-bats. Bauman working from the windup, the 0-2. Breaking ball, and Wells just able to hold up. Bauman now finds himself in position for the win at this point. Came in while the Red Sox were ahead of the Mariners 3-2. Back in the top of the 7th. The 1-2 is hit a ton down the right field line, but well foul.
And that's fortunate because, again, Austin Wells, we know the kind of power that he has, and Harwich is going to have to pitch to him very carefully here with a 1-2 count. Bauman is going to have to really tighten up here. You don't want to give him anything that he can drive.
Of the 7 home runs this season from Wells, only 1 coming off a lefty. And he will foul off the 1-2 to stay alive here. Wells taken out of high school in the 2018 draft, 35th round by the New York Yankees. Improve that draft stock here on the Cape, and certainly has so far. 1-2 is hit on the ground hard towards the right side, fielded cleanly by Fedko. Throw on to Cavadas is in time, so it's 2 batters and 2 outs as Cam Bauman continues to look strong in his first home game since taking a liner off the face to get 2 away in the inning.
And that was a really tough play by Fedko. He had to range all the way over to his left and then make the grab and then turn and fire to catch the speedy Austin Wells. So here comes Jack Thomas Wald, the YD equivalent of Tyler Hardman, who's just been killing the Mariners this year, and hopefully Harwich can find a way to cut through him. He's already got 1 double a day. That came in the 6th inning, and then he had the crucial double play.
He's going to show bunt and lay one down. Rothenberg's going to have to make a tough play, and he can't even scoop it. So a surprise bunt from Jack Thomas Wald, and he's able to reach base with 2 away.
Not what I think most of us were expecting there, but it gets the job done, and here comes Tate Samuelson, who's 0 for 3. They will call that a hit, so 2 away. The Mariners still just needing 1 more to get out of the inning, and you feel really good if you're Harwich. If you can go to the 9th with a lead and Joe Boyle in the game, here comes Coach Englert, and this could very well be the end of the road here for Cam Bauman.
You mentioned Joe Boyle warming in the pen for Harwich. In the other pen for the YD Red Sox, right-hander throwing for them is Ryan Hare. So we have the meeting out there, and that's going to be it for Cam Bauman. A solid outing, going an inning and 2/3, giving up a walk and a hit while striking out 1. But his night is done. He is responsible for the tying run on first base, and it's going to be a 4-out save opportunity for Joe Boyle. And when we come back, we will give you the stats on Boyle. You're watching Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners YouTube Network.
Welcome back here to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey, new pitcher into the game for the Harwich Mariners, and it will be the flame-throwing 6'6" Joe Boyle, who's been just as intimidating as he has looked all season long. He comes in and looks to clean up a little bit of a mess. Not much of one, though. Just 1 runner on first with 2 outs. So Boyle comes into the game for Harwich. Let's really quickly get you caught up on what happened around the league today, as 3 games have already gone final out in Kitsui. The Kettleers get a victory 6-1 over the Wareham Gatemen. The Bourne Braves drop their game to the Chatham Anglers by a score of 6-2, but they clinch a playoff spot because elsewhere, the Brewster Whitecaps visiting the Hyannis Harbor Hawks get a win 8-1. So that will lock the final seed into the playoffs out in the West. And then, of course, Falmouth currently up 2-0 on Orleans. Here, it is a 4-3 lead for the Harwich Mariners, and Joe Boyle coming in looking to do what Joe Boyle does best, and that's throw gas. And Colin, he didn't throw a single other pitch other than his fastball at the All-Star game, and radar guns from the scouts had him tracked at triple-digit heat. He was throwing 100-plus miles an hour, and oh boy, has he been tough to hit this year.
Certainly has been, but if any team can get some runs against him, it's this one. As the guy on first base, Jack Thomas Wald, hit him hard for a 3-run home run that gave YD the lead just a week and a half ago. So an opportunity for YD Red Sox to maybe tie things up with a 2-out rally and lean things off. It's going to be Tate Samuelson, and the move makes sense because Samuelson is hitting pretty well against lefties this year. His 1 home run coming against Southpaws. He's only hitting 154 against right-handed pitching with 4 RBIs.
Joe Boyle this year boasts a 1.54 ERA, 23 strikeouts to 9 walks, and he's given up just 2 earned runs, one of which came during his start, the other of which came against Jack Thomas Wald in that relief appearance.
First pitch from Boyle misses up and away for a ball, as Tate Samuelson has flied out, struck out, and ground out in an 0-for-3 effort so far. Wald takes his lead off first. Has yet to record a steal this season. The 1-0 is off the glove of Rothenberg, and that will roll towards the backstop. Wald takes second, and now the tying run in scoring position with 2 away on the pass ball committed by Mike Rothenberg.
Yeah, and a bit of a strange play there is that ball wasn't all that far outside for Rothenberg, but it just kind of popped out of his glove at an unopportune time, and Boyle has a 2-0 count here. It wouldn't be the end of the world if he did walk Tate Samuelson, as that would put force at any bag with Riley King coming up, but want to get out of this inning as quickly as possible if you're Boyle.
2-0, that one's over for a strike. He caught the outside corner there.
And we talk about guys who throw gas, and when it comes to hitting off of them, pretty much you just let the velocity do the work for you. You just have to put a good swing on it, and that velocity is going to turn around off the bat. So Boyle has to be very careful with that fastball, as this one's fouled away.
Yeah, you got Samuelson well late on that fastball as it's flared off to the right. A quick reminder that should this game be tied after 9 innings, it will be ruled as a tie, as the Cape League recently announcing that they will not be going to extra innings in both 7 and 9 inning games. So regulation or tie is the philosophy, and the 2-2 is in there for strike 3. Boyle got Samuelson with a breaking ball, and he strands Bauman's runner at second to end the inning. We're through 7.5 from White House Field. Harwich 4, Yarmouth Dennis 3. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. New pitcher set to go for the YD Red Sox. It is going to be the right-hander Ryan Hare out of UNLV. Lakewood, California native, 0-2 with a 5.40 ERA in 4 games. He's actually started all 4 games, so this is the first bullpen appearance for Hare on the season, and he'll be tasked with keeping it at a 1-run deficit as he will face the 6, 7, and 8 hitters with Dylan Noisy leading things off for Harwich, who shows bunt, lays one down. It's going to be a foul ball. Wells trying to barehand it.
And guys have hit off of him pretty well through 15 innings. He's given up 20 hits so far, so people have been seeing the ball pretty well off of his arm, but see whether or not Harwich can capitalize here. They could definitely use a couple more insurance runs here, up just one against one of the hottest hitting teams in the league. But with Joe Boyle out there, you wonder how much that will take effect, as he's looked pretty dynamite this year.
0-1 to Noisy is fouled off to the right. Dylan Noisy is 0 for 2. He's reached base twice, including a walk in the 4th in which he came around to score the second Harwich run of the game, and then reached on a fielder's choice, stole second, and was caught stealing to end the 6th inning.
And actually a correction, this is actually Jacob Winger in the game right now for YD.
Huh. Jacob Winger. Last time I heard that guy's name was with the, I believe it was with the Valley Blue Sox last year. He had a stop with them, but Jake Winger, the pitcher, instead of Ryan Hare. Quick correction. The 1-2 is on the inside corner for strike 3, so Noisy goes down looking, and he is now 0 for 3 on the evening, 1 away. So Winger, first batter he faces. So Lanzilli will get a chance with 1 away.
Chris Lanzilli.
Lanzilli had that big RBI double to put the Mariners up 2-0 with the 2-way in the 4th inning, and he'll look at a first pitch breaking ball inside for ball 1. The 1-0. That one just misses low. Winger not missing by much here. Defensively, a couple of really talented teams out there, as YD boasts best defense with a 9.77 field percentage. Not far behind them is Harwich, who sits 3rd with a 9.75 fielding percentage, and that one's going to be a called strike on the inside corner.
Yep, and we'll see what Jacob Winger continues to lay down. The other thing with Winger, with his big 6'5" frame out there, really delivering everything he's got home, so some good velocity on his fastball.
Way out in front of a pitch well outside is Lanzilli. That'll even the count at 2-2. So Lanzilli overall 1 for 2. He also reached via walk in his last plate appearance. 2-2 is skipped in and almost clips his ankle, and that'll run the count full.
Yeah, strange pitch there from Winger. So actually taking a look at Winger's numbers this year, 1.26 ERA for him and 18 strikeouts to only 4 walks. So it's been a pretty impressive season this year for the junior out of High Point.
That was a jersey change that kind of had us thrown for a loop on the roster. But move makes sense now, and Lanzilli ropes one into left field for a 1-out single. Chris Lanzilli continues his hot streak at the plate, and he will be aboard with 1 away, kick off the bottom of the 8th. So Mike Rothenberg will get an opportunity, who singled and came around to score the tying run after Hal Hughes singled to left field. And we're going to get a pinch runner here, so Lanzilli comes out, Max Marshak comes in.
And I really like this, all the speed of Max Marshak. And again, every time he finds his way on base, he typically finds his way around to score. So we'll see whether or not they can get him across here. As again, Max Marshak has been getting it done on the base pass all season long, and Winger's going to have to pay super close attention to him.
Texas Tech Red Raider takes his lead off of first. And here's Mike Rothenberg, who did single from the left-hand side. Marshak starts, then stops, and the first pitch misses low for a ball. It's Rothenberg's first 2 at-bats coming from the right side against Eric Tolman. Winger with a long look Duncan peeks over at first. And a pitch out here as Marshak takes off the throw down from Wells, and he's out. The tag seemed a little late, and the throw was kind of behind the runner from Wells, but apparently the tag was down in time for Wyatt Young, and the Harwich faithful not at all happy with the call.
And I think that's the first time I've heard the Harwich fans boo an umpire this year. I mean, they've been pretty tame all season long, but oh boy. I mean, it was a pitch out. It was a perfect situation. If we're being honest, they probably should have had Marshak dead to rights there, but as you said, the throw was really high, and that'll clear the base pass, the first out of the inning.
It's going to be a favorable count now for Mike Rothenberg. It's 3-0.
Second out, sorry.
3-0 count for the Duke catcher. The pitch from Winkle misses up and away, so it's a 4-pitch walk to Rothenberg, and he's aboard with 2-away, and be interesting to see if it will be, and it will be Corey Acton coming to the plate after he had a pinch hit single in the 7th that helped really spark that big 7th inning. It was the second hit of the inning following Rothenberg. 3 straight hits between Rothenberg, Acton, and Cabrera set up the RBI game-tying single for Hal Hughes.
Well, why not? I mean, the last couple of days have had to be a huge confidence boost for Corey Acton. He's been seeing the ball exceptionally well, so see whether or not he can deliver again here as the Mariners looking for a few insurance runs with a runner on and 2 away.
First pitch to Acton. Winger looking for the inside corner, can't quite catch it. Acton had pinch hit for Riley Terrata, who also scored a run back in the 3rd, the first run of the ball game. The 1-0. Foul tipped back into Wells' mitt to even the count.
And once again, the run's coming at the bottom of the order for Harwich as Dylan Noisy has one down there in the 6 hole, and then Rothenberg in the 8, and Corey Acton and Terrata splitting the other 2 Mariner runs down in the 9 hole.
Been solid offense up and down the lineup with 4 runs on 10 hits. A couple of RBIs from the 2 and 3 hitters. 1-1 and Acton way late on the fastball.
Yeah, took a big old hack at that. He wanted to send that one over the sign out there in right field, but gonna have to focus up here with a 1-2 count. Boyle, of course, trying to stay warm right now in the Harwich dugout.
The 1-2. Ground ball towards short. Young fields it. He'll make the throw to first, and it's in time to end the inning. So, we've played 8 from White House Field. Joe Boyle will try to close things out for the Mariners. His team leads it 4-3. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. The 9th inning we go. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry bringing you coverage of Harwich Mariners baseball here at White House Field. In Harwich with a 4-3 lead as we head to the final frame. Joe Boyle looking to close things down. He recorded the final out in inning number 8. Strikeout looking to Tate Samuelson. It'll be Riley King, Jake Palmer, and Carson Taylor due up to hit for YD. But of course, Tyler with Scott Pickler in the dugout, you never know these days.
You really don't. I mean, that's going to be a thing all season long. It's been a thing ever since Scott Pickler took over as the general manager of the YD Red Sox. And so, you said it, due up, it's King, who is actually standing in the on-deck circle right now, and then scheduled to hit after him is Jake Palmer. Whether or not we see those guys remains to be seen, and we will see. But again, it's going to be Joe Boyle, the big pitcher, coming up here, and he will not have to face against Jack Thomas Wald, who came in the 8th inning. He was the guy who reached on an infield single.
This is probably the most dangerous part of the lineup today for the YD Red Sox. They've collectively reached base 5 times and scored all 3 runs. So we'll see if they have any magic left to try to even things up or perhaps take the lead here in the 9th. So Riley King, the right-handed hitter out of Georgia, will swing at the first pitch, and it is popped up behind the plate. Rothenberg will give it a look, but it is out of play.
Yep, not a whole lot he was going to do there. That one dropping well beyond the screen. So, again, an opportunity here for another 4-out save for Joe Boyle. He already got the one on the strikeout back in the 8th inning. Just 2 pitches for Boyle. Fastball, slider. We know the fastball can get upwards of 100 miles an hour.
0-1 is an off-speed pitch, and looked like it fooled King. He falls behind 0-2.
Yeah, and there's the other pitch. It's a slider that's going to take about 18 miles an hour off of the fastball, coming in at about 82 to 84, and that is a deadly 2-pitch combo.
Boyle ahead in the count 0-2. The pitch. And that slider will miss just outside. A good take from Riley King.
Yeah, King really thought of that offering at that. A lot of good movement on the slider. And see whether or not Boyle tries to challenge him with a fastball here on a 1-2 count. That's been his put-away pitch pretty much all season long.
1-2 was in there for a called strike 3. It was the front door slider on King, and it fooled him completely. He strikes out, and the Mariners 2 outs away from securing their 19th victory of the season and getting back to 500.
And we're really seeing Boyle mix in that off-speed more and more often as he's kind of gone more and more to the fastball during a stretch, but recently he has been getting back into utilizing that slider, and it's worked out for him quite well.
So here's Jake Palmer. He's had a solid day at the plate. 1 for 2, the runs scored and a walk. And first pitch he sees is up and outside. Still no signs of a pinch hitter just yet. The switch hitting Carson Taylor expected to hit after Palmer, who of course has all of the offense in this game for YD. At the time, a go-ahead 3-run home run off of Antonio Menendez in the 5th. The 1-0 is just off the outside corner for a ball.
Colin, do you remember the last time the Harwich Mariners were at 500?
I'm going to have to guess it was somewhere around 10-10, right around game 20 on the season.
Pretty close. It was 7-7, so you're a little bit off. It was June 29th. That is the last time the Mariners sat with a 500 record.
2-0 almost comes in and catches Palmer, and I remember they were really close for a while. 1 game above 500 for what seemed like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
They certainly were, and then dipping below in the game against Orleans, one where Jacob Polish pitched his heart out, but still couldn't come up with a victory with very little run support.
3-0, that one's over for a strike. Fastball from Boyle. Palmer, the right fielder out of UC Irvine. Has seen a lot of Harwich this season. It seems like he's been in the lineup for almost every game between these two teams. 3-1 is outside for ball 4. Rothenberg having trouble hanging on to Boyle's fastball so far. And now the tying run is on first base with 1 away in the 9th.
Yep, things getting a little bit dicey here. Nothing too big to worry about yet, although here comes Carson Taylor, who has all 3 RBIs today. It was a 3-run bomb for his first hit of the season. And it was a big one, as that's the reason his team trails by only 1 here. Taylor was 0 for 15 going into that at bat. But he came up big when it mattered, and now he'll be asked to do it again.
Drew walk as well in his first plate appearance and takes a fastball on the outside black for a strike.
Yep, a guy that Boyle's not going to be afraid to attack, although again, he's got to be cautious with where he locates that fastball. You wonder whether or not he might want to maybe go away from the high cheese, as he's been prone to do.
Palmer can run a little bit. He's got 3 steals on the season. Hasn't been caught yet. And a check swing on a breaking ball that'll miss inside rather.
And of course, the double play still very much an option for Harwich with 1 away. The infield playing at double play depth, so a big chance if they could turn 2 here.
Taylor, the DH out of Virginia Tech. Looking for another big hit for this YD team, and so far he's been patient, taking all 3 pitches and finds himself ahead of the count 2-1.
Yeah, he's going to make Boyle earn his respect here, as we know Boyle has the velocity, but it's always been the location that he's kind of struggled with, maybe not this season, but throughout the course of his career.
No defensive changes so far for the Mariners. Acton just taking Terada's place after pinch hitting for him at third. 2-1 misses outside, and Boyle in danger of walking back-to-back batters and putting the go-ahead run on first.
And the one thing you cannot afford right now if you're the Harwich Mariners is to let the YD Red Sox flip the book on you here, as you really don't want to have to face Wyatt Young, Brad Beasley, and or Austin Wells.
A lot of danger up and down this YD lineup, the 3-1. And that pitch is just at the knees, and Taylor can't believe it as he shakes his head in disgust and will gear up for a full count offering from Joe Boyle. Taylor taking his time before stepping back into the batter's box. Boyle comes set. Palmer going, and the swing is a foul ball off to the left. Jake Palmer ready to run. Maybe the hit and run on there for Coach Scott Pickler.
And you wonder whether or not they'll be willing to send Palmer again here, as a big opportunity coming up for Carson Taylor, who is the DH today. But after having him run once, I don't know that they'll necessarily go right back to that again here.
Boyle comes set once again. And this time he'll throw over, and boy, that one almost got away from Nico Cavadas. He had to high step over to his left and keep that ball from going towards first base dugout.
I mean, as long as you keep whichever runner is going to be on at first base with one away, that's still a pretty good proposition, but you definitely don't want to let him move up to second here.
Payoff pitch once again. And there's a fly ball out towards left field. Joey Weimer heading back and catches it about 10 to 15 feet in front of the wall for allowed out number 2.
I mean, you want to talk about the velocity of Joe Boyle. He rips one in there, and again, kind of a half-hearted swing there, but it's just got so much momentum coming off the bat that thing carried and carried. So scheduled up is Sam Hall, and it will be Sam Hall, who is 0 for 2 today. So no typical Scott Pickler antics, at least not so far.
Interesting to see that Noah Campbell hasn't been utilized as a pinch hitter off the bench. Perhaps Pickler trying to rest him fully, or maybe feeling under the weather, whatever it may be. It's Hall's opportunity to keep the game alive against Joe Boyle. First pitch from Boyle is low and outside for a ball. Hall a strikeout in the third, a walk in the fifth, fly out in the seventh. Long pause by Boyle, the 1-0. And there's a high pop-up down the right field line. Cabrera giving it a look, but it will land in the YD bullpen area for strike 1.
Yep, so the count goes 1-1 here. Boyle's got himself right where he wants to be. Pretty good count on Sam Hall, a guy who's already struck out once today. Harwich looking to close out another victory. And Colin, these feel like the kind of games that Harwich typically wins. The gritty, low-scoring, drawn-out pitchers duels that we've become so accustomed to seeing. And Joe Boyle is a big part of the reason why Harwich has been able to cap so many of these games.
Good news for the Mariners, with Orleans trailing 2-0 to Falmouth right now out in Orleans, as the 1-1 misses low for a ball.
Yep, Harwich could potentially find themselves just a game and a half back of the Firebirds, although keep in mind Orleans, much like Brewster, has a few extra games left to play over the top of Harwich.
2 balls, 1 strike to Sam Hall. Palmer on first. The pitch comes up and in. It gets off of Rothenberg's glove. The throw down to second, and Palmer is in safely. It continues to be a defensive, tough inning for Mike Rothenberg, and now the tying run is on second base with a 3-1 count to Sam Hall.
Yep, things are getting more and more dangerous here for Harwich, although, again, with a 3-1, you don't want to have to pitch to Wyatt Young. This is not a situation where you really come out on top if you walk the runner and have an option to go to all 3 bags, but that being said, got to find a way to fight back here. If you're Joe Boyle, we'll see what he elects to go with. The 2-pitch option. Haven't seen the slider here in a bit. Maybe this is the time to go to the off-speed, although with the 3-1, may want something a little bit more predictable.
Here it is, and it's in there for strike 2, and the YD Red Sox fans cannot believe it. That pitch looked like it was high and maybe even outside.
I got to agree with you there, Colin, but Harwich will take it. It's now a 3-2 count, and Joe Boyle has just been gift-wrapped an opportunity on the doorstep to close this one out.
A base hit from Hall could potentially tie the game. Boyle comes to the set. The payoff pitch misses outside for ball 4, and that ball didn't look too far off the last one, and the Harwich dugout Now they're not happy with it, and now the go-ahead run is on first base with the top of the order due up for YD.
And Wyatt Young coming to the plate. This is the biggest at-bat of his entire season. He's been one of those guys that's gotten it done all season long. A 351 average coming into today's game, and he's already got 21 RBIs. That's second on the team, only to Austin Wells, who now stands in the hole. So Harwich, it's getting a little bit dangerous here. And you mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, Colin. Wyatt Young, a guy with a little bit of power, too. So got to be careful here. Plenty of speed on second base. A ball in the gap would likely score one.
So the Hawaiian native digs in. And the first pitch from Boyle is swung on and hit hard, but foul just outside the third base bag.
And that ball was about a foot and a half away from being a disaster for Harwich, as a ball down the line like that would have likely played the go-ahead run, given the fact that it can roll all the way to the corner here at White House Field.
Positive on that scenario would be that if Acton was able to knock it down, he would just have to tag third and the game would be over. But instead, we'll do it again with an 0-1 count. The pitch, swing and a miss, strike two, as Boyle going with the off-speed pitch, and the YD Red Sox down to their final strike.
Yep, Boyle's probably going to go fastball here. This is the kind of spot where he's going to just try to challenge somebody and just overpower them with that velocity. We'll see whether or not that's what he goes with. But with an 0-2 count, he's got a few pitches to waste. This doesn't have to be something in the zone. You definitely don't want to give Wyatt Young anything too meaty with an 0-2 count if you don't have to.
Palmer at second, Hall at first, an 0-2 count to Wyatt Young. The pitch from Joe Boyle is hit into right field. That's going to fall for a base hit. It's misplayed out in right. Palmer is going to score, and YD has tied the game here in the ninth with the go-ahead run at third base, and Joe Boyle continues to struggle against the Red Sox this season.
And I'll tell you what, Daniel Cabrera looked like he was going to have that ball. They rolled out a base hit as they should, but Daniel put an excellent effort in getting out to that. I really thought there for a second he was going to get it and secure the win. Keep in mind also, Harwich will have an opportunity to bat, but this brings Bad Beasley up, who is more than due for a hit. He's 0 for 4 today, as is Austin Wells, who stands on deck. And the go-ahead run is now just 90 feet away here for the Sox.
That runner is Sam Hall, and Wyatt Young coming up huge with an RBI single to tie the game. Boyle looking to bounce back. His first pitch to Brad Beasley is over for a strike. Beasley struggling this evening with a couple of strikeouts and an 0 for 4 clip. The 0-1, swing and a miss, and Beasley swung himself out of his shoes on that one. And Boyle with damage control now. He's got an opportunity to at least keep the game tied going into the final half inning of the game.
And again, at this point, a tie is going to be almost as good as a win. With Brewster winning, you can't take a loss here.
The 0-2, and that's going to miss low and outside for a ball.
I mean, the simple truth of it is, for Harwich, it's just going to be about continuing to add points onto their total for the season. No matter how you can get them, a win, a tie, it doesn't matter. You just got to keep yourself ahead of the Whitecaps.
From the stretch, the 1-2. Breaking ball over for strike three, and the side is retired. But Wyatt Young's 22nd RBI of the season is a huge one, as he ties the game in the top of the ninth and gives YD an opportunity at a tie ball game. But Mariners still get one last chance. We head to the home half of the ninth. It is 4-4 from White House Field. You're watching Harwich Mariners baseball on the Mariners YouTube network. of the 9th inning from White House Field as the Harwich Mariners, looking for their first walk-off victory of the season, had an opportunity to win in the top of the 9th, Tyler, but clutch hitting from YD with 2 outs and Wyatt Young able to tie the game with an RBI single.
And at least it's comforting to know that with the new innings limit on games, the worst Harwich can do today is tie. I mean, either way, they're going to be coming away with at least 1 point. So the question is, can they find a way to steal another one here and stay 2.5 games ahead of the Whitecaps instead of dropping that number down to 2? And we will find out as it'll be the top of the order due up here. Daniel Cabrera, Hal Hughes, and Joey Weimer. A pretty good spot here for the Mariners in this lineup.
Cabrera 3 for 4. He will face Jacob Winger, who's on for his 2nd inning of work. And the first pitch is a ball on the inside part of the plate.
Yep, another crucial inning coming up here for Jacob Winger. So he looked pretty good during the 8th, although guys were able to get on against him as 2 different hitters reached base.
Another off-speed pitch misses low, so Cabrera, who has scored runs left and right all season long, got moved to the leadoff spot because of that reason. Looking to get on base, he represents the go-ahead and game-winning run, the 2-0. And he waves at a pitch in the dirt for strike 1. Cabrera now 6 of 17 on the season against YD, with a couple of doubles and 5 walks. The 2-1 is a chopper foul.
Cabrera got his first home run as a Harwich Mariner in his 2nd game with the team against the Hyannis Harborhawks. Since then, he has not yet gone yard, but he's done an excellent job of getting on base as he's done today with a 3 for 4 clip. And Hal Hughes, who's already got 1 clutch RBI single, standing on deck. So with a 2-2 count, Hal Hughes is going to be awfully protective here, and you got to think just any way to get on base could prove to be the most important way for Hal.
2-2 misses just outside. Full count now as Cabrera coming into this game, hitting .353 as a leadoff hitter for an inning. Has walked 3 times in that scenario. No home runs, though. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Jacob Winger with a payoff pitch, and Cabrera able to spoil it foul.
Yep, Cabrera fighting off another one he didn't really like all that much, so a big-time opportunity for him if he can find a way to put some good wood on this ball. And again, just find his way on base. He's got guys behind him in the lineup here who have been reliable all season long. So just find your way on and let the rest of the team do the heavy lifting.
Another payoff pitch. And it's a chopper towards second, fielded cleanly by Hall. The throw gets away! Cabrera's going to go to second. A poor error late in the ball game by Hall. He throws it away, and the go-ahead and game-winning run is at second base with nobody out for Harwich.
And oh boy, here we go. That ball took all the way off the base. Jack Thomas walled, and then it was a good thing that Austin Wells was backing it up. But as you mentioned, game-winning run's going to be on second base. Cabrera's got plenty of speed, and wouldn't be too surprised if we see how Hughes maybe lay down a bunt here and just try to move his guy over to third, as you got Joey Weimer, Christian Fetko, and Nico Cavadas due up after that. And you would think at least one of those guys could find a way to get this run home.
Will the Mariners play small ball in this situation with Hal Hughes at the plate, or will he swing the bat, try to bring home that game-winning run? His teammate at LSU over at second base, and Daniel Cabrera, who has reached second base 4 times in this game now as a base runner. So a crucial error by Sam Hall after drawing a big walk in the top half of the inning. And now all of a sudden we're going to have a quick mound visit for the YD Red Sox.
And probably a good thing with that is Jacob Winger just doesn't really look like his usual self here. I mentioned he ended up getting Max Marshak on a caught stealing call at second, but he's already walked a guy. He's given up 2 hits, and he's fortunate that there hasn't been a run come home on him so far tonight. So this will be interesting to see whether or not he can compose himself here and find a way to get some more bats to miss here for Harwich.
So Cabrera, the runner on second, he's got solid speed. He picked up a steal back in the 3rd inning, which was his 7th of the season. So a base hit might be able to plate the go-ahead run, and Hal Hughes already with an RBI. He tied the game back in the bottom of the 7th inning. Coach Engler with a word with Hughes. Question is, will he try to lay one down, or maybe just a ground ball to the right side to give Joey Weimer an opportunity next? But regardless, Jacob Winger desperately trying to get an out.
How he's just got his 3rd RBI earlier today, so not a guy that's driven in a ton of runs on the season, but certainly a guy that's capable, as he's shown over the last couple of games, and he's been swinging an unreal bat.
A lot of space on the left side of the infield. The first pitch to Winger from Winger is over for a strike. Hughes grounded out in the first, popped out in the 3rd, singled in the 5th and the 7th. He's got the game-winning run in scoring position with nobody out. Winger comes set. The 0-1 is in the dirt, and Hughes goes after a nice stop there from Austin Wells, 0-2.
Yeah, right now, how he's just a little bit too eager, trying to find his way across here. And again, it's just about finding a way on base and getting to the next man in the lineup, as Harwich has done such a good job of that throughout the entirety of this game. But not a time to let up now. Nobody out. Game-winning run on second. And the top of the order coming up here.
Wyatt Young holds the runner on second. The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and there's a huge out number 1 as Winger gets Hughes to fish at that pitch outside. And now it'll be up to Joey Weimer with the go-ahead run on second base and 1 away.
Yeah, Hughes was just far too eager there, but here comes Joey Weimer, who's been driving in runs left and right over the course of the last couple of weeks. So this is probably one of the best options for Harwich. If nothing else, you think Weimer would find a way to move the runner over.
6 RBIs for Weimer in just under 3 games against the YD Red Sox. The shift is on. A lot of space now on the right side of the infield. And the first pitch is a chopper to the left side as King will go over, but it's going to be a foul ball.
Yeah, I was going to say, fortunately, that one will trickle foul. But once again, Weimer, like a couple of other Harwich hitters, are going to find their way into a hole here early in the count. So he'll have to battle back. And Joey Weimer put in a very tough spot in the All-Star game as well, as he came up in the bottom of the 9th with a runner on second just like this, and he was able to drive with 1 out, a ball to right field that moved the runner up to be 90 feet away. And then, of course, Brett Auerbach delivered on a walk-off win for the East. So Weimer's been here before this season already, and he'll look to do it again here with an 0-1 count.
Winger comes set, a look over at Cabrera on second. The 0-1. And that's going to miss low and outside. Weimer brought home the go-ahead run at the time after being drilled by a fastball in the 7th. And they're just going to intentionally walk Weimer and get to Christian Fedko instead.
Wow.
An interesting decision. Of course, Fedko has done a lot better against lefties than righties this year, but he hasn't exactly been a slouch against righties, including the 1 home run he's hit against YD.
And Christian Fedko has already driven in on 2 separate occasions what ended up being the game-winning run. So some disrespect shown here to Fedko, and more importantly, that puts Cavadas on deck.
And also a chance for the new bat, as John Fedko had alluded to before the broadcast. Will there be magic tonight? So Winger, following the intentional walk to Weimer, will face Fedko. He looks over at second, the first pitch. And that's going to miss high for ball 1.
Yep, good wait there by Fedko. He knows that the one thing Winger's done a good job of over the last couple of ABs is find a way to get guys down in counts. And here he's ahead 1-0 on Winger.
Slight shift on the left side of the infield, the pitch. Off speed, low and outside. Winger starting to lose control of the strike zone.
Well, the one thing you don't want to do is load the bases for Nico Cavadas with just 1 out in the inning. And the go-ahead run 90 feet away. That's exactly what he would do if he walks Fedko here.
Also put the game-winning run on third, and a fly ball would just bring it home. 4-4 the score in the bottom of the 9th. The 2-0. High pop-up. It's playable. Wells is under it, fading over, and he makes the catch for out number 2. So, it'll all come down to Nico Cavadas. The Mariners have already clinched a tie ball game with the new rules in effect that this game can go no further than 9 innings.
And kind of fortunate for Harwich that those rules were put into play today, as again, typically we would go to a 10th and decisive inning, but thanks to trying to save pitchers' arms here at the back end of the season that features a lot of doubleheaders, it will be the end here one way or another. Nico Cavadas, 2 away, 2 on, bottom of the 9th. looking to get something done.
This is the risk that YD put into themselves, is now they have to deal with Cavadas as first pitch misses low because they walked Joey Weimer. And, you know, I don't know if he's going to get anything to hit here with still another base open. It would load the bases, put the game-winning run at third, but to face Dylan Noisy instead. But it's a really tough spot to be in for YD considering the success that both of these guys have had against their team this season. A look at second by Winger, the 1-0. That will miss low and away.
And honestly, I don't know why they don't just intentionally walk Nico right now, because that gives you the favorable pitching on hitting matchup, as you have the righty facing off against the righty and Dylan Noisy, but they're going to pitch to Cavadas, although as you mentioned, it may be just a token intentional walk if they don't give him anything to hit here.
Cavadas, the league leader in home runs with 9. The 2-0. That one's over, and boy, Winger leaving a pitch right over the middle of the zone, but it looked like Cavadas had the take sign on.
Yep, and that was a really good off-speed pitch, despite whether or not Cavadas had the take sign. So he'll settle in here with a 2-1 count. You get the feeling he's going to be swinging no matter where this next pitch is. Whether or not Jacob Winger's aware of that, we'll find out here in a moment.
Second baseman Sam Hall playing deep on the right field grass. His error put Daniel Cabrera the winning run at second, the 2-1. Big swing and a miss for strike 2.
And there it is. Cavadas was going to go after that pitch. You get the feeling, I mean, you got the feeling just no matter what it was or where it was. So now a 2-2 count. Winger can preserve the tie, which would be a huge victory here for YD. Harwich trying to make it 2 points instead of 1.
Cabrera on second, Weimer at first. 2-2 count, 2 away in the bottom of the ninth in a tie game. Winger's 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and that is going to be the ball game. So the Mariners take a 4-3 lead into the ninth. Joe Boyle unable to shut the door as Wyatt Young with a game-tying RBI single, and the Mariners can't bring home the go-ahead run, stranded at second to end the ball game. So the final score in this one, it's a tie between the YD Red Sox and the Harwich Mariners, 4-4 here at White House Field. Take a quick break and wrap things up. First tie of the season for Harwich Mariners. We'll be right back to bring a post-game coverage from White House Field. Welcome back one last time to White House Field. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry, following a 4-4 tie between the YD Red Sox and the Harwich Mariners in a game, Tyler, that seemed like the Mariners had won going into the top of the ninth.
Yeah, I mean, they did everything right. They did everything they were supposed to, but at the end of the day, 2 really big plays come to mind, and one is going to be the first hit of the season for Carson Taylor that ends up being a 3-run home run. That coming off the arm of Antonio Menendez, who other than that was really, really good today, but that one swing really changed things. And then, of course, the missed opportunities for Harwich is down the stretch. They had bases loaded, nobody out in the 7th inning with a 1-run lead and a chance to pad a few more runs on. They can't get anybody across. And then, of course, Daniel Cabrera moving up to second on an air with nobody out in the 9th. And then 3 straight outs and an intentional walk ending the game. So because of the new rules, the game does end in the 9th inning regardless of what could have been in a potential 10th. But it's going to go down as the first tie of the season for Harwich. And with that, all 10 teams have at least one tie. We just had to go and say something earlier in the broadcast. And Harwich will not be at 500, so that watermark still remains. June 29th was the last time the Mariners were at 500, and they will look to complete and go back to 500 in a big game at YD tomorrow.
Yeah, and with that turns into a rubber match in the season series with the tie. Teams both 2-2-1 on the season. For all we know, they could always tie tomorrow, and that would kind of change things. I think you mentioned something earlier in the broadcast.
I said I think we're due for a pair of ties,
Yeah.
and we got one half of it today, so who knows?
So we'll have to see what ends up happening there, but looking at the final line in this one, the Harwich Mariners with that tie, they, I don't know if you say improve or kind of keep ground at 18, 19, and 1 now on the season. It's the third tie of the year for the visiting YD Red Sox, as they are now 20, 16, and 3 on the year. It was 4 runs, 7 hits, the 1 error, which was almost a costly one by Sam Hall in the bottom of the 9th, but Daniel Cabrera was stranded on second to end the ball game. YD also leaving 7 runners on base, 4 runs, 10 hits, no errors committed by the Harwich Mariners, who left 10 runners on base, and probably the two most important in this one, Tyler, being, as you mentioned, in that bottom of the 9th inning. It was just a tough situation. They actually left 5 runners on in the final 3 frames in a situation where they just couldn't quite get that crucial insurance run. You look at the line out from Nico Cavadas in the bottom of the 7th inning. Tyler, I think that was probably the play of the game in terms of YD being able to get out of a terrible situation. The bases loaded, nobody out. They only surrendered 2 runs, and it ended up being a 1-run lead and turned out not to be enough for Wyatt Young and the YD Red Sox.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it too, that there was the potential for a double play, but that's not what anybody was expecting as Nico hits that ball. And, you know, if he's not playing so close to first base, that could potentially be a 2, maybe even a 3 RBI single. But at the end of the day, he's playing where he is. He makes the grab, steps on first, and that's all she wrote for the 7th inning for Harwich.
So with that tie, the Brewster Whitecaps now gain a half a game on the Harwich Mariners. They are 2 back of that final playoff spot. As you mentioned before, YD and Harwich will be in action once again at Red Wilson Field tomorrow afternoon in the final game of the regular season between those 2 teams. We will have radio coverage for that one at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And actually, a quick update, as they have moved the start time up 15 minutes to 4:45, so we will bring you coverage of that game tomorrow afternoon in Yarmouth. Well, for all of us here in the broadcast booth, for our producer Matt Lucy, for my broadcast partner Tyler Henry, I'm Colin Casey. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night of baseball, and we will see you tomorrow afternoon once again for another edition of Harwich Mariners Baseball. Once again, final score from White House Field, YD and Harwich deadlocked at a tie. We will see you tomorrow afternoon. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good rest of your night.